Good morning once again to everyone present here. I welcome you to the day two of the International Conference on Innovative Practices in Technology Management. Our session chairs for the day are Dr. Chandrasekhar Yadav, Dr. Arun Srivastav, Dr. Anubhuti Gupta, and Dr. Vikas Garg. We'll be starting with the first presentation for paper ID 448, titled Issues Related to Modeling and Parameter Settings of Models for Ecological Systems, the Case of Distribution of Thorny Devil, and it will be presented by Yuting Zhao.
Hi,
Hi,
can you hear me?
I request you to be on your camera.
Yeah, I'm trying to open it.
I will request all the authors to be concise in their presentations for about 5 minutes, focusing on the core parts of their research.
Okay. Can you see myself share the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, ma'am. You can go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Yuting from University of Canberra. Today my topic is related to the issue which relates to the modeling and the parameter settings of the ecological models. It's particularly for the ecological systems. I will use the solid level distribution as a cases. So currently we all know the species distribution modeling is one of ecological models. We normally in these models we will use the species data and the climate data to generate their species, to predict their species distribution in a target area. Particularly in the species data, it should include the species present data, absent data, and then we will, according to those, to generate the predict our result at the maps. This model has been applied in a very wide areas, of course, in the biodiversity research. Also, this still used for some decision making, like the conversation planning, reserve designing. It's also be used to predict some area like the climate change. However, there have many challenges in the species distribution modeling. People already applied it in plot. But however, those limited, there have some reference of the species distribution or algorithm configuration option settings is limited. And they have a very, very minor justifications for the settings, how to select the setting and analysis their performance. So it will lead to the issue is it is hard to select very suitable models and parameters based on our species distribution models, which let the optimization of the species distribution becomes more difficult. The object and the contribute of this research is I'm looking for give more explanation or conclusions as how the configuration of the species distribution detract the reliability, availability, and the reproducibility of the result. And by the way, we are trying to looking for use the configurations to optimize the solid levels distribution in Australia and provide more reference for optimize this model and the reference for configuration selections. In this research, the methodology we select the solid level occurrence data. It is the data is collected from the organization Atlas of Living Australia. It is a native species in Australia, and it will only living in the middle and the east and the west of Australia. So that will not have too much other influence from the migration of the species. And we will also clean the occurrence data. After cleaning, the data record is around 759. And we also need to research the environment data. The environment data is collected from the climate, the current climate. It's from the many weather stations. It's select from the data selected from 1976 until 2005. So they have a set of popular research model methods in the species distribution modeling. And we will pick up those four methods to generate the distributed model. And also in those models, we are select the configurations and their values, which we also pick up some information from the other reference, which people used with a very high frequency and also provided in our modeling process. And in order to optimize our Sony-Devil distribution model and analysis their performance, we pick up the four popular informations methods in here, like receiver operating characteristic, area under the receiver operating characteristic curve, AUC true skew statistic, positive predictive value. So there have, according to this, we generate a set many models and compare with their performance. There are the two examples in my Sony-Devil's distribution model. The one is for the MRS. I just prepare the AUC, TSS, and PPV the values. We can find when I use the default value to generate the model that I call it is a control model. Compared with the control model, it is very easier to find out. There have when I modify the configuration settings, the result, the performance may be improved, but sometimes maybe not improved. The best models is I find is the when I set the NK, the configuration NK as a 100, the value of the GSS AUC and PPVR become the highest value among all of the other models. In the modeling classification tree analysis, we also can find it when we set the weight and the configuration weighted response weight is when its value becomes 0.3, it becomes have the better performance than the control. The value of PPV and AUC are higher than control. However, you also can find that the value of the TSS are similar. So that we need to have more according to our results. I can put such a kind of the conclusion is we already know that when I modify our configurations, maybe improve the performance, optimize the models by using the default value. They also find that there also is a very important thing is we need to use the suitable evaluation method to help us to optimize our models. It's all of the based on the what kind of the method, what kind of spaces, the areas that you researched for. So in conclusion, the aim of this research paper is to be able to draw the conclusion to as how the model's performance of the species distribution algorithms to their configuration option setting, which may affect SDM results. And will also choose the solid level data, investigate how their algorithm robustness and sensitivity depend on the species being modeled. And it is a need of further investigation in applying optimization algorithms to find enhanced parameter values that improve the performance of the models used in this research. And also, as we said, selected a suitable evaluation method would improve the reliability when we all optimize our models. That's all for my research topics. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are open to questions from the session chair or the audience. I take it as no questions, ma'am. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
We'll move to the next presentation for paper ID 322, titled as Algorithm of Modeling on Repositioning, and will be presented by Mr. Om Pal Singh.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Myself, Dr. Om Pal Singh, Department of Mathematics, SRM University, Delhi NCR Campus, Ghaziabad.
We can see your screen, sir.
Okay. Today I will present my paper, Algorithm of Modeling on Repositioning. Basically, this paper presented as shortest path algo, like mapping software, Apple Maps, and they are also important use for this paper, road network operations and logistic research. This is also very important use this paper, computer network. Now, this paper presented as two major regions that may decided to move service unit. The first region is related with possible change in arrangement Cost reflection plays the major role in decision making. Dispatch center having no real-time communication capacity with moving unit. It is not easy to communicate with moving unit when it is environment. We talk about a model with possible link length. We develop the model under location as well as analysis problem. Some introduction about this paper. We assume that a random change in network link length can result in repetition. We cannot believe in unlimited service capability. We develop a network system when a ideal server send a calling node. Service is specified because the full of active node is labeled as empty go, and later to call the empty module is complete to supply service after the service is engaged by the available unit whose work has been done. Situation like this draws gives us much interest. It is better idea is recent the empty server is some center modes to be able to react future call moves. A similar approach has been realized for the redevelopment approach or in approximate with responsible assumptions where the approach took the analytic in an critical framework. Like according to offering of service, server may be similar. Number two, server can also be famous as having a relationship with their domestic nodes. Repositioning may be occur at such node that candidate is a possible repositioning, not a repository unit into isolate home nodes. However, only to node which completely close with reason. Next, location on a stochastic system. The notion of stochastic arrangement in some nodes suggests that such a network is located for these service unit. However, we establish it more suitable to limit the conversation to the periodic travel time and present the major topic here, presenting the probability problem as an introductory section has gone. A simple network having 5 nodes and 6 links can see in the figure. The most universal approach would be assume that the journey time for every link is given by the stable probability density function like this. This is the 5 nodes and the traveling time according this node like 1 2 according to 1 2 traveling time. And by using this formula summation h j d kj and calculate all the nodes traveling times, we get the results. Now, repositioning on a stochastic network, it is the dispatch focus on complete educated on the condition for the organization. Whatever the point, organization change from the state 1 to state 2 or other way around, the dispatcher can respond quickly and adjust the area of home hub if so wanted. We accept here that the organization is globe, that is, the limit of administration unit is endless and subsequently lines cannot be produced. We need to utilize a few presumptions. Number one, the organization G totally associated one can go from any hub of the organization, some other hub through a connection of the organization. Number two, the travel rate along the connection is steady. For example, it takes half of sine effort to go along half of connection. Number three, time range between the places of a state are appreciably then moment time on the organization. When a choice is made to migrate a unit, a converse activity won't be accepted to occur very soon. Number four, the condition of the organization in the novel boundary to recognize the home peak. It significant what the historical backdrop of the organization had been before it reached similar arrangement of the areas should be utilized each time the organization is in that state, paying little head to the historical backdrop of the organization. Number
So
five,
would
there is
like you to be concise and conclude.
okay. That is the scope of this paper. The initiative of this paper to find the shortest route from one place to another place in the structure. Finding the shortest routes from one place to another, the utilized shortest path algo in graph theory, road network analysis has been often used, always proved useful. Graph and network theory can be regarded as the belonging to a finite geometry. And last is conclusion. The series of the conversation on the stochastic organization. It presently go to the below average of condition. The repositioning a suitable alternative organization can turn into a blocked organization. And repositioning choice rely upon the status of the different health unit. There is no change in the estimation of the mean assistance time. The best condition as far as data would be the situation of wonderful data, the specific area of very item and will of moment correspondence with it. The most optimistic scenario would be the point at which the dispatching focus can contact worker just when they are in track at their home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll request someone from the audience or from the session chair to ask questions if there are any.
Thanks. Thanks, ma'am. Professor Ompal, my question to you.
Yes,
What do you think, as per your research is concerned, what about the future implications of this?
that paper is presented as shortest path of between two structures. Define as some model like this. There are 5 nodes in any structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, and calculate the sorted distance according to the given data. We select the path by using this algo.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sirs. We take it as no more questions. We move ahead to the next paper, titled as IoT-enabled smart and efficient musical water fountain, and it will be presented by Mr. Deepak Pareta.
Good morning, everyone. Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible and you are audible. Please share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Please let me know when it is visible.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today, my paper is on the topic of IoT-enabled smart and efficient musical water fountain. So this is from the Computer Science and Engineering Department of Amity University. Give me a second. Okay. So water fountains have been a major tourist attraction these days, which frees the attention of tourists in a variety of lights and design of different heights. They are all known as music holds a major part in our day-to-day lives. Hence, our idea is to combine the beautiful water fountain with music and to bring a more tourist attractive places, which might attract more tourists. And this is also like a very household kind of project, which, like a lot of musical water fountains have been like, sorry. Okay, so a lot of water fountains have been like very large scale projects, but we are trying to make it a little bit more toned down and a very household kind of a project. So this is again a musical fountain, additionally called a dancing fountain, is a sort of an animated fountain that can enhance towns, parks, squares to honor the individual or occasions that create an aesthetic design of a fountain combined with moving jets of water and some sound detectors and colored lights with some recorded tunes, or you can also play your own music. And considering on the frequencies of your music, different lights will also come with different patterns, and there will be different motors that can pump water at different speeds that will create a very beautifully and aesthetically pleasing effects. So coming to our objective, the primary objective of our mission was to construct a cost-effective musical water fountain. As I've mentioned earlier, a lot of these projects were earlier like very big scale projects that were constructed using a lot of money, nearly crores in rupees. So here we try to make a similar kind of a project that is also IoT enabled, and this will be constructed with a fraction of amount. Okay, that is constructing costed nearly 5 to 10,000 rupees. Okay, so coming to our requirement engineering. So first of all is the functional requirements. So these construct the core functionalities that we have already discussed earlier. Then we have the interface requirements. So the serial communication interface was the Uno board. That is, we have a chip called Arduino Uno. And for the coding of that chip, we have another notebook that is called the Uno notebook. Then coming to our non-functional requirements, these are basically the requirements that are not directly considered when we are constructing the project, but they are considerable when we are talking about the long-term longevity of that particular project. So the non-functional requirements that we took here were the ease of use, the better performance of a project, portability, availability, reliability, and maintainability. So coming to our use case diagram, a use case diagram basically represents different use cases that a project might have. So first of all was the project needed to play music. Second, we have it should show different views as the fountain operation. Third, it should show all the status of motors and everything on an LCD screen that was connected inside the project only. And then we have the different views of LED strips that were also like a dancing pattern. Then coming to our activity diagram. So activity diagram is a graphical representation of the interaction flow inside a certain scenario. It is comparable to a flow chart that is showing different activities in the serial order. So first of all was the initial node, that is, first of all we played some music. Then we had a mic, that is a sound sensor. If it detected the music, then it moved further. If it did not, then it stayed there only. So when it detected the music, then it did three basic works. Was first of all was to patternize the LED strip. These were addressable RGBs, ARGB commonly known as. Then we had the fountain operation, that was we had some submersible motors connected to some rotor motors. Then we also showed the status of the motors on the LCD screen. And then we had the final operation of the fountain. Then coming to our class diagram. Class diagram is basically the coding section of the project, in which like we have different classes for all the different operations of our project. So first of all, we had the Arduino class that connected all the basic functionalities of our Arduino chip. Second, we have the sound sensor class that basically controlled all the basic functionalities of our mic. Then we had the relay module. Relay module was the basic connection between the Arduino chip and the submersible motors, because the Arduino chip basically works on a 5-volt current, and the submersible motors worked on a much higher voltages, between 12 to 15 volts. So if we connected both of them directly, then it would damage the Arduino chip. So we use the relay modules as the basic connection between both of these. So the Arduino chip basically controlled the relay module, which again controlled the submersible motors. Then we had the LED strip, that is its basic work to display all the data on an LCD screen. And then we had the LCD display. Then coming to our sequence diagram. Sequence diagram is a basic diagram that shows all the activities that are done in any project sequence wise. So first of all, the user plays some music that goes to the sound sensor. It detects and it observes some values that are basic frequencies of that particular song or tone that is being played. Then it sends that value to the Arduino chip. Then what that Arduino chip does is, first of all, it patternizes the LED strip. Then it also operate the relay modules. And then those relay module operate the motors. Then all these data goes back to the LCD screen that is being showed to the user again. Okay, then this was our system architecture, that is user is playing some music detected by the sound sensor. Then it detected that if the music is playing, then it proceeded further, and if not, it just went back. Then if it was playing, then it goes to the Arduino Uno controller. Then it shows the status on the LCD screen, and it also controlled the LED strips. It operated the relay, which further operated the submersible motors. Then what are the software details of our project? So the basic notebook that we used was the Arduino IDE. That is the basic software that control the Arduino chip, and IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So with all the operating systems, including Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, it is compatible. So, and it's also a cross-platform. The basic language that we use in our programming was C++. We can also use C, but C++ was more better language because we can easily make classes, and it was better for our project. We can also use Python in that. So this software provides we can write code, and also we can control different units at different times with all the specified values. So first of all, what we did was with the mic, it detected some values. We just differentiated all the different frequencies. For example, 0 to 100 hertz, we just addressed it to a particular light. For example, it was red. Then from 100 to 200 hertz, we addressed it to some different color, for example blue. And then from 200 to 300, we just address it to another color light. Okay, and for each light, if it is from 100 to 200, it was blue. But if it is like 101, then the luminescence of that LED strip was less. But it was like, if it is close to, it was more like close to 199, then the luminescence was at its max. Okay, so we these were addressable RGBs, so we can control their color and also like the brightness and luminescence level. Okay, so Arduino IDE consists of different sections, that is a Windows bar, a menu bar, shortcut buttons, text editors, and an output panel. Then coming to our hardware details, we have the Arduino Uno, the basic chip. Then we have some external mics, sound sensors, relay modules, 6-volt submersible motors that we further upgraded to 12 volts. Then we had the ARGB LED strips, the LCD screen, a 12-volt adapter, a 9-volt adapter, and some connecting wires. So the 12-volt adapter was for the submersible motors, and the 9-volt adapter was to basically control the Arduino and give power to the Arduino chip. So this was our basic model. When it is like a raw format of that model on the left hand side, and on the right hand side you can see the basic circuit diagram of that. Okay, then when we installed it with some beautiful flowers and pots, then this was a basic how it looked like. Then we have a video of it playing.
Thank you, Deepak. You may conclude.
Okay, ma'am. So this is a very short video of it playing. Okay, any doubts?
We are open to questions.
Hello, Deepak. Nice presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah. So IoT control fountain will be prone to hackers too. Yes or no?
Currently in the particular state, no, because it is very much controlled with your own single device. We are not currently planning to make it a multi-device operation. So
that's great.
Yes, ma'am. So currently we are playing the music via a Bluetooth device. So it is currently it can connect only with a single system at a time. So and it is not connected over the internet currently. So it is currently not prone to any kind of hackers. And it is a very household project, not a very big scale one. So I don't think that it will be hacked so easily.
So suppose you go for scaling for your product, then
if we like to scale up project, then we can easily, because we are using C++ and Python. These are already secured languages in their own. They have their basic safety, and with using the Arduino chip, allows only one system interaction at a time. So if you want to feed some data or some instruction in that particular chip, this can be done only with single system at a time. So if one system is connected to it all the time, then any other system cannot interfere or enter to the system.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving ahead to the next title, Adaptability and Applicability of FinTech Innovation in India. It will be presented by Silki Sharma.
Shubhi ma'am, sorry, there's some I think mistake. It will be presented by me, Dr. Shalini.
Okay. Ma'am, you can go ahead with your screen presentation. Ma'am, we can see your screen.
Okay. Just give me a minute. I am just opening my camera. Okay, if is it okay if I am not able to open the camera? Will that be okay, ma'am?
You can go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so good morning, everyone. And today my topic of discussion is application of technology and innovation in fintech and its adaptability in India. Along with me, Dr. Shalini, I have three other authors, Ms. Silki Sharma, Dr. Anubhuti Gupta, and Mr. Anubhav Bangle. The main topic of discussion in this paper is about financial technology, that is fintech, the abbreviation of financial technology, which talks about the advancement and changes of technology in terms of all the areas, majorly in financial services. So it is innovation of technology in in various sections of financial services, like we talk about the how the financial market has overshined itself from the traditional one to the new one, and how this technology is helping us in in having the best kind of services and the best kind of growth in various financial markets. So an advancement and innovation in technology have realized an extreme change in traditional financial services. Fintech is seen as a game changer and disruptive innovation that can outshine traditional financial markets. Fintech has grown rapidly in India over the last 5 years and is expected to continue its growth in the near future. This research article is basically extends fintech's qualitative assessment to customer adaptability and qualitative analysis of technical, economic, and demographic factors that may lead to fintech's adaptability in India. Over the last 5 years, we have seen, because of this pandemic also and this COVID era, this adaptability of fintech has grown to large extent because people are normally using and trying to find out access by various technological tools to do their financial transactions. So the basic association of fintech in majorly 5 core areas which we have analyzed over the past years is the demand factor. The demand factor talks about the use of these stakeholders and the impact of these stakeholders in the financial agencies, in corporates, and in the government, right? So when there is any impact of any financial agency, we normally find that they are using the technological tools to fulfill those requirements. The government, the corporates are actually, because we are having all the online sessions, we are having all the technological activities which we can do from sitting at the comfort of our home, is also a part of fintech. So demand factor has increased because of this pandemic, if we see in the last 2-3 years. Before this pandemic also, because of technology innovations, we are able to have conferences and video sessions across the globe. We are also able to use various apps, and we are able to do the financial transactions through that app. So demand has considerably increased over the last 4-5 years, which we see that is a very, very demanding and a very, very important change in the financial sector. The talent factor talks about the impact of fintech in institutions, academic institutions, in corporates, in imparting knowledge, in talking about new thought process, in research, and coming out with new innovation and new activities which can impact and which can create a change in the society. So that is the talent. We are also basically thinking on various new aspects, but that means the creativity has increased, if we have these the impact of financial technology into any sector like education sector, or if you talk about the corporates as well. The capital factor talks about the investments, like as a venture capital, or the new investments which people are doing as new, they're coming out with new startups. So they are having capital intensive approaches are there, and people are able to do the transactions and do the various financial activities easily. So new startups, new ventures is is basically very much impacting the concept of financial technology, because it has been a big support for the new ventures and the new startups. The policy factor. Recently, in the current budget, if you see, the government is coming out with a policy of digital currency. They want to introduce this currency as digital currency. So digitalization is in nowadays. We can say cryptocurrency. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about bitcoins. So the policy, but even the government is also taking a stand to make it a commercialized object, to make it a point where everyone can use and get digitalized in various areas. So digital currency is a very big stand on that. So policy with the government, the stakeholders, the people who are responsible for for the upgradation of any economic growth of any state or any country, they are also working on this technology and looking forward for the changes in this technology. So new changes in the government policies are really impacting and having a lot of changes in their thought process because of fintech. Then we have the solution factor. I think the best way to understand the solution factor is this era of COVID-19. All the financial transactions are done through Paytm. Even a Palwala was using a Paytm during this, this COVID-19. Why? Because we are totally digitalized. We are not using the currency. So the solution factor is always there. So financial technology has created a change in the thought process of the people. And I think Paytm is a company which has really, contributed a lot in this concept of fintech. So solution we are able to find out in this particular phase. Besides that, the solution factor is also very much applicable in academic institutions. All the online sessions, all the online discussions, everything was, a part of the fintech, customer adoption of fintech. So financial institutions
I would request you to conclude.
Sure. So financial institutions are altering rapidly in the digital age, offering new services and adopting new technology to satisfy the client expectations. The confluence of technology and the financial service institutions will contribute to the development of the strong digital economy. And the financial services and business, they embrace and implement technological advancements into their business models in order to provide better service to the consumer groups. In this, I have my research hypothesis, which talks about the null hypothesis, which says that there is no discernible difference between fintech and consumer adaptability. That whatever technology is being offered to the consumer is adapting it without any difficulty. So this is what was the null hypothesis. This is what this means. And the other hypothesis was, the alternate hypothesis was that there's a fundamental distinction between fintech and consumer adaptability. That means there is a difference because the customer is not able to adapt the technology the way it has been offered to it. So over here we have a respondents, 100 respondents are there. We have taken a sample of 50 respondents each, and it's a bank sampling. We have done the sampling from all the private banks. We have a sample of 10 and 20 respondents. The data is collected on the basis of a questionnaire. And in the case of data analysis, we have 2 data sets which are prepared with different data of 10 reviews and 20 reviews each of the bank, and the proportion is calculated out of 20. The technology and the tool which we have used is a t-test, which is used to analyze both the samples. And we have started by assuming the null hypothesis that the mean of the 2 sample sets is the same. And then we test the hypothesis with a t-test to check and find out that it is correct or not. So this is the formula which we have used, the t-test formula and the degree of freedom formula to calculate the value of t-test. The computed value which came out is 2.247. 2.247 is the value which we calculated on the basis of the formula which we have applied on the basis of the data sample which we have. Wherein the table we have another value which we have taken from the distribution table, which is 2.064. So when the degree of freedom is 24 and the level of significance is 5%, the t-value distribution table provides a value of 2.064. That is the table value. And the computed value which we have calculated on the basis of 5% level of significance only is 2.247. So we can see it reveals that the calculated value which we have taken, the t-value, is greater than the table value which is there. That is 2.064. So there is a variation between the table value and the calculated value. So in this case, we reject the null hypothesis, because the null hypothesis says that there is no difference between, there is no disparity between the customer adaptability and the use of financial technology, but there is, because the data is not actually the same. If the data would have been the same, we would have accepted the hypothesis. So the reason is that there are so many disparities in the population when we are accepting or we are looking for any kind of adaptability. So this means that fintech consumer preferences, they vary depending on a variety of internal elements like the location, the people adaptability, the choices, and the living standards of people. Because the location and the adaptability of the people also matter a lot in the application of people, that what is their requirement and what they need. Not everyone can accept the same kind of technological use, and then we cannot even use it in the same way the other one wants, depending on their requirement. So there is always a change. So we conclude that due to the fact that India is a growing country with high infrastructure cost in banking, a considerable portion of the population remains unbanked. So fintech can jump and deliver financial products at affordable rates because of poor financial inclusion, expanding mobile phone and internet penetration, changing consumer needs in favor of digitalization and online commerce, biometric authentication of mobile SIMs, and a supportive regulatory framework. In India, there are few established and rising fintech companies, mainly in the banking and the insurance industries also. So this is all my submission is. Thank you. Any questions if anyone want to ask?
We are open to questions from Dr. Shalini.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Dr. Shalini, I have one
Yes.
question.
Yes,
You
sir.
are using the t-test for this particular, and you are using the sample of 30,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So can you tell me that why you are using the t-test only for this particular research paper?
Because t-test is used for short samples. And when we use the t-test, we have sample size. When sample size is less, we use this test. So that is why we have applied this test in this paper.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Any other question?
Yes, Dr. Salni, a very good presentation. Can you just elaborate what are the limitations of fintech?
Yes, ma'am. Adaptability is the biggest limitation because because we know that in India the literacy rate is not very much higher in comparison to other countries. So adaptability of technology and making people understand about how to use the right thing at the right time is a challenge for people. So this is the main challenge which I find that is in this particular case. Adaptability.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Moving ahead to the next paper titled as Study of IT and Data Center Virtualization, paper ID 131, and will be presented by Ms. Shelja.
Hi, I'm unable to share the screen. It's giving me an error.
Just give me a minute.
Ms. Shelja, can you now share it?
Yeah. Yeah, am I visible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Shelja Salagrama. I'm pursuing my, I'm pursuing my PhD in University of Cumberland in the United States. And my this paper is all about study of IT and data center virtualization. In presentation, I'm talking about introduction, and then going forward, I'll talk about how the virtualization process is worked on, and software and hardware mitigation, virtualization process development, hardware maximization, study analysis, and study outcome. And coming to introduction, a virtualized environment creates the centralized solution so that the management of the information technology resources are very easy and also needs less number of administrative staff members. Further in the presentation, I'm going to talk about the enhancement of virtualization techniques and process. So in the data center virtualization process, we explain what exactly is a centralized database. A centralized database is where the information is collected and stored and maintained in one location, but is accessible from many places. And and it is a process of designing, developing, and deploying a data center virtualization and a cloud computing technologies. It primarily enables virtualization for physical servers in data centers facility, along with storage, networking, and the infrastructure devices and equipment. So here in the virtualization, we see how the data is maintained and can be accessed in from the various parts of the world as well. And another benefit of data center virtualization is very fast deploying, where it's possible to happen because there are fewer physical servers used. Therefore, we redeploy what is needed and what is not needed. It only adds a few minutes to make any changes. It needs only a few minutes, and it can be controlled with very few clicks, only because all the servers are connected to each other. In the meantime, backup is no longer an issue because it's all virtual. It's all in a virtual environment. And in the virtual process of deployment, it covers in these four critical phases of server virtualization deployment. Accessing your existing environment, selecting a virtualization platform, deploying and configuring a virtual infrastructure, selecting virtualization and management tools. Following detailed information are required to be ascertained during the innovation phase of the implementation of virtualization, because we need to determine the manufacturer and the model of the processing elements of the virtual servers. And we need to know the processing elements like sockets, cores, threads, and cache available in the bytes. And we need to determine the size and random access memory, and the speed is in FSP. Determination of these types of networks having number of ports, speed associated with each of the available ports, and availability of and operating our patches of available operating systems, including the level of services, and all the applications these are installed on the servers. So when coming to hardware maximization, virtualization means we are creating a virtual platform of something, which will include virtual computer hardware, virtual storage devices, and virtual computer networks as well. In hardware virtualization, software called hypervisor is used. It also handles the multiple virtual workloads. There it can be possible that available hardware and virtual services are not sufficient to handle the virtual loads. So the virtual server is to avoid performance maximization and hardware of the virtual servers. So in the study analysis, we find the management, the models, and how the process works versus a structure, and path dependent versus a strategic choice, and internal and external drivers. So in this study outcome, what we have concluded is how the virtual data is one of the primary focus of all the service development based organizations, and how it is used all over the world and globe, and how it is used maximally, and hardware and software resources, and how overall we are reducing the cost, as well as high level of utilization and information technology resources. I concluded.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions from the audience or the session chair? Okay, we take it as no questions, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We now will move ahead to the next paper, ID 340. titled as Survey Paper, Comparative Study of Machine Learning Techniques and its Recent Applications. It will be presented by Mr. Shashikant Suman. Ma'am, please unshare your screen.
I am
Hello,
shared.
ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Please make me presenter.
Okay.
Hello, Shashikant.
Yes, sir. I am sharing. Just
Okay,
a
okay.
moment. Sir. I hope the presentation is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
All right. Good morning to one and all present here. I am Shashikant Suman from Department of Computer Science, Amit University, and I'll be discussing the paper Comparative Study of Machine Learning Techniques and its Recent Applications. So let's begin. The authors who worked on this paper are Mr. Basudev Shivhare, Mr. Sai Srinandan, Mr. Prakash Kaushik, Mr. Amardeep Gupta, and Dr. Vimal Vibhu. The content of the presentation will be as follows. So we will talk about a brief introduction of the paper and types of machine learning and activation functions. After that, we'll have application of machine learning algorithms, and finally the conclusion. So for introduction, machine learning is an application of artificial intelligence that provides system the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed to do so. It focuses on development of computer programs that can access the data and use it to learn for themselves. The data is termed as training data, and it can be a data set of images or text or anything you want to train your model on. As you can see, here is a pictorial diagram. From real life events, we extract the data, and that data is fed to the algorithm. The algorithm creates a model based on the basis of the data and produces a desired output. So in this paper, we have tried to discuss what are the most recent developments in the areas of study and tried to define the best applications for each of those based on previous researches. Types of machine learning. Machine learning methods can be categorized into the following. First of all, supervised learning. In supervised learning, we supply the algorithms with labeled training data. That is to mean that the input data that is used to train the model has a properly classified content. And we also define the variables that we want to assess for correlations, and both the input and the output of the algorithm is specified beforehand. After that, we have unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning involves algo that train on unlabeled data. The algorithm will scan through the data sets and look for any meaningful correlation that it can get from the data and produce an output on the basis of that. Third is reinforcement learning. In reinforcement learning, we provide the algorithm, we tell the algorithm to complete a task and give it a positive or a negative feedback as it works. The algorithm decides on its own which path to take, and on the basis of the feedback, it either continues with its task or it will change something. And finally, deep learning. Deep learning is a type of machine learning that tries to imitate the way the human gain knowledge. and it is incredibly useful to deal with large amount of data. And you can think of it as a way to automate predictive analysis. Here are some applications of the machine learning methods. So supervised learning can be used for classification and regression. That is to say, it can be used for fraud detection or email spam detection. Unsupervised learning can be used for face detection, text mining, or targeted marketing. Reinforcement learning is it can be used for robotics or game AIs. And deep learning can be used for natural language processing or sentiment analysis. So now we have activation function. So activation function are an integral part of any neural network. It is responsible to decide whether the neuron should be activated or not based on the weighted sum of the previous inputs and the bias attached with it. Basically, it tries to give an output on the basis of the input of the previous layer. And its purpose is to introduce non-linearity into the output, making the machine capable of solving complex problems. I would like to invite Basu sir to continue from here.
Thank you, Shashikant. Good morning, everyone. Now we know that machine learning is a powerful tool for the computer vision task, and machine learning algorithms, supervised algorithms and unsupervised algorithms are utilized for computer vision task. Suppose we capture the scenes by our human eyes, and analysis is done by the human brains. So for the computer, so that computer can recognize the scene, so we are using the machine learning algorithms. Okay, so the most important factor in machine learning and machine learning, we can say that deep learning is activation function. So activation function is the one who transform the unnormalized number into the probability. Suppose we can see here by the diagram that this summation represents the weighted sum of input into wx plus b. If we apply linear activation function, so we will not go towards the back propagation. So our error will not be minimized. Hence, we will not get good accuracy. That was happening in the perceptron cases. Perceptron where we are using just linear function, linear activation function, and there is no non-linear activation function. So non-linear activation function transform the unnormalized number into probabilities, and back propagation is possible. Why back propagation is required? Because we have to update the weight. We have to update the weight. We want to find new weight where we can reduce the error, we can minimize the error, and we can enhance our accuracy. So these are the non-linear activation functions. These are sigmoid function, which will be applied after the weighted sum wx plus b. We will apply if sigmoid, then it will transform our unnormalized number into probabilities, in 0-1 probabilities. Means in for two class classification problem we use sigmoid. And tan h will reduce the vanishing gradient problem of sigmoid. Vanishing gradient problem of sigmoid means in sigmoid we are not removing the error. It is not perfect to reduce the error. So tan h will remove, or tan h will reduce the some context of gradient vanishing problem. Then next is our ReLU function. In ReLU, next slide please. Okay. In ReLU function, we can see that there is no need to find the gradient, because we can see this straight line which is going towards from 0 to 10, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Sorry, this is 0.5 and this is 0.1. Oh, this is 1. So 0 to 1. So there is no need of gradient. There is no need to find the gradient. Gradients means derivation. Okay. So ReLU function is better than sigmoid function. And if we can see that what is the derivation of this ReLU function is for x, for any variable x, the derivation is 1. And next slide. Then ReLU is also suffering from the vanishing gradient problem, because that was not zero centered. So we can fix this ReLU problem by leaky ReLU by introducing some parameter value. So instead of 0, we have we have apply some constant value 0.01x, and we will get the derivation of 0.01x as 0.01, which will be used to gain the new updated weight, which will be useful to reduce the error and increase the accuracy in our model. The model which we will design for our particular task. Then there is another kind of parameter value where we will supply the value according to our uses. When the value of alpha is 0, then it acts like as a ReLU, and when the value of alpha is 0.01, then it will act like as a leaky ReLU. So the advantage of leaky ReLU is that it is zero centered, and it removes the problem of vanishing gradient problem. Means we will find new updated weighted, which can be utilized to minimize the error in the neural network. Then the softmax function. Softmax function, suppose we have seen where we have more than 2 objects in a scene. Suppose we have persons, we have animal, and we have other kinds of objects. So to classify this image as a multi-class classification, we use softmax functions. So we will apply this softmax function after the wx, after getting the value of wx plus b in the neural network. So softmax function is used for multi-class classification. So it will create the probability of each classes. Suppose we have 4 objects in our scene, and we want to detect which objects has highest probability.
I would like you to conclude.
Yes. Conclude that application of various machine learning algorithms are utilized, and its recent applications are listed here. So we are still utilizing the k nearest neighbors, support vector machine, and random forest. As we can see that the many renowned papers are published in 2019 to 2021 by these classical traditional machine learning algorithms that are KNN, SVM, and random forest, decision tree based. And this time the deep learning approaches, deep learning models are very efficient to recognize to classify the medical diseases such as COVID and non-COVID, where we will capture the CT scan images of lungs or X-ray images of lungs, where we can identify or classify that person is having COVID or not. And the second application is of deep learning by the deep learning models is to detect the brain tumor and cancer detection. Then after that, diabetes detection also. So deep learning models are emerging models, and they are giving the best accuracy. And still we are also utilizing the traditional machine learning algorithms also. So it depends on the data set, that which type of data set is, and we can and there are many papers where machine learning algorithms are still giving good performance because they are classical and they are easy to implement. And in deep learning models, the main feature is that we are using the dimension reduction, we can get the less number of means we extract the features from the images, and the feature set is minimized, and the based on minimum feature set we are able to classify the images, we are able to classify the diseases. Reference section. References.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Any question, answer, please? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We now will move ahead to the presentation of Ms. Anindya Das. She'll be presenting the paper titled as Use of Operations Research in Cab Aggregator Route Assignments. It's numbered as 303.
Ma'am, can you make me presenter?
You are a presenter here.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
So can I start now?
I would request you to be on your camera.
Sorry, I'm facing issue in my webcam.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, all. My name is Anindya Das, and I will present my research paper on the topic Use of Operations Research in Cab Aggregator Route Assignments. I will make it full screen. Yeah. So basically, what is operations research? Basically, it is the systematic and analytical approach to decision making and problem solving. So it makes better and more informed decisions. Operations research can be extremely helpful in improving vehicle routing efficiency and can have a major positive impact in improving the efficiency of operations. In the field of route scheduling, optimization of each vehicle can be action to maximize the system efficiency throughout. So with OR is used to decide which taxi should be assigned to which route, so the time and cost can be minimized. So this will ensure that the passengers personalized requirements are satisfied, comfortable, and convenient. So in this in this research paper, I have taken two examples of cab aggregators like Ola and Uber. So in today's world, there is a rapid and significant evolution can be seen in the field of urban transportation. In recent years, the advancement in the field of internet and improved smartphone technologies has made increasingly connected with each other, because which we are able to plan and optimize our daily commute. So online booking of taxis has become an integral part of our lifestyle, preferred over a traditional transportation method, as it offers value for money, saves time, and for it's easy for use. So there is vast amount of growth in this sector, and there is a rising dependency of people on cab aggregators. So in spite of the late entry into the market, cab aggregators like Ola and Uber, amongst others, have been established a strong hold in the market. As you see in my slide, the market capitalization of Ola and Uber in the cab aggregator industry. And also, there is a major aspect contributing to this success has been because of their efficiency and ability to innovate. And so to improve the efficiency of the transportation systems, large amounts of data is gathered and analyzed to improve their operations. Today's innovative systems like carpooling are built, and a centrally controlled transportation structure is used by real-time ride-sharing companies like Ola and Uber to revolutionize the taxi industry. And the main motive of the cab aggregators is to satisfy the passengers' personalized requirements and provide passengers with convenient and comfortable trips. In order to improve the operational efficiency of taxis, it is essential to encourage the widespread of ride-sharing services. Careful organizations and optimal scheduling and reliable management are needed for effective ride services.
Anindya would request you to focus on the core parts of your research.
Sure. So the main objectives of my research paper is that I have presented an overview of the Indian cab aggregator industry and analyzes the OR methods used for optimal allocation of cab route assignments, and also educate the readers about the use of OR in the cab aggregator industry. So analysis. So I've done the analysis. So the operations research plays an important role in the cab industry. So the clients first ask for the taxi that can be through the taxi aggregator applications and giving the applications and select the drop-off area by the customers. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
So the taxi aggregator is constantly doles out a taxi to the client dependent on the variables. And for direct understanding, let's go with these assumptions. Like, for example, the taxi association has a total fleet of 3 vehicles and complete the ride request at a particular characteristics of time by the customer is 3, and the absolute cost per ride, that is the distance travel into cost per kilometer covered by the taxis, and plus complete ride duration and into time rate. Yeah. So the customer situated in the various areas and ask for the taxes to the organization, right? So the cost per ride caused by each taxes differs relying upon the area of customers, and the objective and all cost of each course is meant as CA, CB, and CC. That is the bold letters are the customers, that is A, B, C, and everything. So these steps in solving this assignment problem is, the first step is to balance the problem. So an assignment problem is said to be balanced only when the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. And in this case, the number of cabs available with the company should be equal to the number of trips requests. So the in this situation, the assignment problem is balanced, and if it is not balanced, we can add the dummy rows and dummy columns. And the second step is to involves that getting zeros in every row of matrix, finding the row minima. That is, for this, at least value in each row is subtracted from each row element. In the above problem, taking the case of cab A, the row shows the cost per ride incurred if the cab A transports the ride A, that is the cost if the cab 1 transports it ride to the cab 2, cab CB, and so on. Thus, at least the cost incurred is taken and subtracted from all other costs in the row. And this step is repeated for all rows. This third step involves getting zeros in each column with the same method as being followed. So the allocation of zeros of the fourth step, that is, after obtaining the zeros, allocation is made to each row will have a single zero. All other zeros in the column will be cancelled, and this step is repeated for each row till all the rows have a single allocation. Now the fifth step, we will do the tick procedure. There may arise a situation when the number of allocation is not equal to the order of the assignment problem, which indicates that the solution is not optimal. And in order to make the solution optimal, the tick method can be used to optimize the problem. So after solving the assignment problem, the following matrix that is shown will be achieved. The highlighted box shows the assignment of each cab to a specific location, which ensures that the total cost is minimized during the daily operations of the company. So in the conclusion, so in this paper, I've attempted to cover the taxi aggregation industry in India and how cab aggregators use operations research for route optimization. And it also provided the information about the current status of the industry and enlightens the users about the various market players in this industry. So the success of the taxi aggregator business model is an ample proof of ever-growing influence of technology in the success of business. So technology and innovation has played a greater role in effective alignment of demand and supply in taxi aggregator services. These are my references.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We're open to questions from the session chair or the audience. Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. We'll move ahead. The next paper is titled as Cloud-Driven Framework for Skin Cancer Detection Using Deep CNN. It will be presented by Ms. Sumedha Bakshi. Ms. Bakshi, can we have you on screen?
Right. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
I'm so sorry, my microphone was not working. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm not able to see the share screen option. Oh, okay. Here it is.
I would request all the authors to be concise in their presentation, focusing only on the core parts of their research and skipping the intro part.
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, is my presentation visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll just start. Good morning, everybody. I'm here on behalf of my team. My name is Sumedha Bakshi to present my present paper for cloud-driven framework for skin cancer detection using deep CNN. So, right. So skin cancer is one of the most common variant of all its types, and detection of it has been a challenge because of its tricky nature of its symptoms. And right now, as of right now, the most like you can say usual common way of detecting is just by a manual inspection. And the aim of this paper is to investigate the tumor by applying deep CNN model, and also to propose a novel cloud-based method which would help in synchronizing the analysis of the cancer along with the diagnosis by the doctor for the patient that for remote diagnosis. So skin cancer, there are like basic three main types of skin cancer. The first one is the basal cell carcinoma, the second is squamous cell carcinoma, and the third is a melanoma. For this paper, we are focusing on melanoma, and skin cancer usually develops on the outer part of the skin, which is the epidermis. And the basal cell carcinoma is mostly is a benign type of cancer, and is usually caused by exposure to UV light. But the melanoma, which is the malignant melanoma, is one of the most dangerous types of skin cancer. It's very aggressive in nature and usually spreads to other parts of body at a very high end of a fast rate. So the process methodology is like we collected data from Kaggle, and there are two variations of the cancer data types, which was the benign and malignant, both belonging to the family of melanoma. The input images, they were normalized for analysis. They were reduced to a size of 224 by 224 pixels. And since we had a relatively lower set of data, we performed data augmentation to resolve this issue by rotating, rescaling, and translating the entire the images. And the dataset catalog was created to prepare the model. The preparation information was produced, and the model was read 0 for benign melanoma and 1 for malignant melanoma. So this is an overview of the literature review. Some of the notable works by various authors who have worked in the field of either CNN or who have utilized the deep learning model to predict cancer and detect cancer. Okay, so these are the images, data set that was used. It's a overview of the data set. The first one is the category of the images, malignant and benign. Second is the data augmentation. It was done like this, rotating, rescaling. And this is the division of images that we had. We had 1497 images for malignant and 1800 for benign. This was after the data augmentation was done. So this is the basic process flow of the proposed model. So any patient, they register, capture an image, and capture the image uploaded on the cloud. After authentication, an analysis is done at the back end. Whatever the result is, it is forwarded to a doctor who is available online, and the doctor diagnoses it and verifies whether the results that have been predicted by the machine are correct or not, and accordingly sends the prescription. This process has been detailed in the second image, which is the layers within the model. So the proposed model consists of three main layers: the web application, which is going to act as an interface for the patients and for the doctors. The second would be a cloud manager, and the third would be a cloud server. The cloud server is basically acting as a database wherein we are storing all the data. The first step is the patient deals a request for a service. Then second step, registration happens, followed by a third one that a request is granted for authentication that, okay, yes, you're a verified user. The fourth is about you upload the image. When you say upload the image, I mean the image of the skin part where you can see some sort of cancer development. And after that, that image sample is sent to the cloud. It is stored in the database, and that result after the analysis is performed on the cloud servers. Any kind of CNN model which we have provided there, it's going to classify whether it's a benign form of cancer or a malignant form of cancer. That report will be sent to the doctor after establishing a link with them. The doctor is going to check, prescribe, and see whether the analysis that has been performed is actually correct or not. And after that, they'll send a prescription. Whatever the decision of the doctor is, it would be stored in the server also, and it would be shared with the patient as well. So accordingly, the patient can act on it. If it's a malignant form, an immediate consultation is required. If it's a benign form, it could be prioritized a bit late. And in case the doctor is not able to figure out whether it's actually a case of cancer or not, then accordingly they can act. So the result of the CNN model which we applied, it's somewhere around 77%, which is not very high, but for starters, but for in this case, I think this majorly happened because of the fact we did not have enough of data sets available with us. So for the conclusion part, the proposed methodology, it can be proved to be significant to connect patients with doctors with minimal redundant process. As of right now, what happens is, in case you're in a remote area, and not even in a remote area, if you're consulting with one doctor and you do not find their prescription suitable, or you move to another place, then creating a connection with the very same doctor proves cumbersome. You keep on switching from doctor to doctor, which results in a lot of turnaround time, because every other medical expert is going to give you a consultation, a different consultation, or it might not match that of the previous. There's also going to be a variation that occurs. So to curb that problem, we propose this cloud-driven model. And this research is, we proposed an application to predict the type of cancer, and it would allow the dermatologist to proceed with the required treatment of patient without restarting the entire process with the patient, because they'll already be having either the data, or they'll already be in touch with the patient, even if via remote connection. The existing limitation of this model is that obviously the first one is the low availability of data, which confines the boundary of the analysis. And the second one would be the system capabilities and the runtime constraint that we experienced. For future work, I think this entire model will be enhanced if we use much other methods for deep CNN and transfer learning, along with more addition to the database. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are open to questions.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Hello.
Anji?
Hello, myself Bhagat, ma'am.
Yes.
Due to technical issue, I cannot present that time, ma'am. Now I can present, ma'am. 395 my type, paper ID, ma'am.
No, sir. We will go by sequence, or you can just put your message into chat.
Okay.
And then we can discuss it there. Ms. Bakshi, the next paper title is for paper ID 337. You will only be presenting it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I take it as no questions from this research paper, and we request you now to present analyzing sequences of artificial intelligence on jobs using topic modeling and keyword extraction.
Right. I'll be presenting again on behalf of my team. The topic is analyzing consequences of artificial intelligence on jobs using topic modeling and keyword extraction. So the term was coined by John McCarthy way back in 1996. See, artificial intelligence has impacted our lives in multiple manners. It was also lead to significant production and in various sectors. But among all the benefits that we're experiencing in artificial via AI, which is either in healthcare, military, or manufacturing or education, there's one major concern that exists within the masses. It is the concern of job losses. And so it's a very debatable topic. On one side, we've got people who are concerned, who I know also have been affected by the AI displacing their jobs. On the other part, we've got those researchers who have also provided evidences that how the workforce has always upscaled themselves to match with the technical advancement of their time. So this paper uses NLP techniques like topic modeling and keyword extraction to analyze web articles which are based on this entire topic of impact of AI on jobs. So the process methodology follows this patterns. The data was collected online by key phrase search, impact of AI on jobs. We were able to collect around 50 web pages. Out of those 50, we used only 40 for our analysis. Data pre-processing was done, obviously, to clean the data of any, let's say, stop words of and data and stemming, and converting it into DTM and tokens. DTM means data, term matrix, and tokens. So what happens is a sentence is broken down into smaller parts, basically into words. These words are stored in a matrix to count their frequency. And these words are something which are also converted into tokens for further analysis. So the first part of the analysis dealt with topic modeling, where we segregated the entire data into various topics. And these topics were created based on their frequency, the relative frequency and association with each other. Topic modeling was achieved by the STM or structured topic modeling package. That's an inbuilt package in our programming language. Another process which was done was the keyword extraction using keyword in context analysis. This is a part of the quant data package in our programming languages. These two packages are specifically made for working on NLP and text mining and text analysis. So these are the work of some of the notable scholars and authors that we referred for our study. This section of the literature review deals with just strictly text mining and text analysis. And this section of the literature review deals with the authors who worked on the on AI and its impact. So we had to refer two different sets of authors. One who just focused on how AI is impacting jobs, and another who focused on how text analysis or text mining can be used to extract information. So coming to the results, these are the results of the topic modeling. So if you can see the entire set of data, it was divided into a set of around 20 topics. And this is basically the graph is what the graph is showing is the hierarchy of all these topics. So at the top, we have topic 13 and followed by topic 14, 6, and so forth. The next table shows the topic 13 top first, because topic 13 form is like at the topmost priority. So we analyze it further by finding out the words which are like are the impacting this topic further. So there are 4 categories of the words. The first one is the highest probability. The second metric is the FREX. FREX is basically refers to the words frequency and exclusivity. It covers those words which are very frequent in the current topic and also exclusive to the current topic, like they don't appear in any other topic. Lift is somewhere lift refers to those words which are just exclusive to these topics. It doesn't work on frequency, it is just working on exclusivity. And score is somewhere similar to lift, except score uses logarithmic calculations to find out the probability of all these words. To get an insight into the association within these topics, we calculated these 2 graphs by the huge and simple technique. Huge is a package which is high dimensional unidirectional graph estimate. It's an inbuilt package in R, and a simple technique just calculates the maximum probability association between 2 topics. And you also come, the R package also gives you the benefit that you can contrast to compare two topics with each other. So here we've compared two topics to figure out which words probably either, make them, how these two topics are connected to each other, or how they are disconnected to each other. You can check for both parameters. The keyword in context analysis allowed us to search for specific keywords within the data. And there is one feature of keyword parameter which has to be set, which is the window size. Now, what the window size basically states the number of words that would appear before your specific keywords, and the number of words that would appear after your specific keyword within a sentence. So if I'm saying my window size of 5, so, and if I'm searching for a keyword like healthcare, which means that in a sentence, wherever the keyword healthcare appears, the first the 5 words before healthcare and the 5 words after healthcare would be appearing, I would be able to see them. So these are the three main segregation that we did. The first one is of the job and task, which have already been replaced by AI. The second one are the second table, which is in orange color, which depicts those tasks which would be created with the infusion of AI. And the third is the green color table depicts those job and tasks which have either experienced quite less impact or may not be completely impacted by AI. So mostly the tasks which have been overtaken by artificial intelligence usually revolve around manual or repetitive tasks, like a customer support specialist, proofreaders, bookkeeping clerks, telemarketing, and clerical tasks like those of receptionists, delivery personnel, those tasks. The other table, which is about creation of newer jobs, these are some jobs which have been created with infusion of AI. I think one of the primary examples would be that of data analysts and data scientists. Then we've also got machine learning expert, we've got smart city analysts, we've got data detectives which are working in the field of cybercrime using AI. We've got transparency analysts and all sorts of AI consultants. And then
I would request you to conclude.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, right. So for the conclusion and future work, through our paper, we were able to figure out and segregate all the jobs into three main tables. One which were impacted by AI, second which were created due to AI, and third which would see lesser impact. So yet we feel that even after the impact AI would have on jobs, human intervention would always be necessary, especially in roles which require empathic characteristics and creative intelligence, like those of the HR managers or of those of the healthcare departments. So compensation effects would have to be implemented to tackle the loss faced by displaced workers, which means that if workers are being displaced, there needs to be a program which would help these workers to upscale themselves. And that's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We're open to questions. I take it as no questions, ma'am. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Right, thank you, ma'am.
We'll move ahead to the next paper, ID 347, Performance Evaluation of Apache Kafka, a modern platform for real-time data streaming, and will be presented by Mr. Shubham Vyas.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Am I audible?
Hi, sir. Yes, you're audible, and we can see your screen as well.
Okay, great. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Shubham Vyas, and I am a PhD research scholar at MIT University, Gurgaon. And the topic for my paper is performance evaluation of Apache Kafka, and that is a modern platform for real-time data streaming. And paper will be presented by me and Dr. Rajesh Kumar Tyagi, Dr. Charu Jain, and Dr. Shashank Sahu. And these are the table of contents that we'll discuss today. And one is the introduction, the objectives, the review methodology, and the detailing about the environment setup and implementation. We'll also talk about the key of this paper, that is results and discussion. And we'll talk about conclusion and the future scope. So I'll take a minute to talk about real-time data streaming. So as we know that when we talk about batch processing, then the insights and the analytics is available in groups, and after a certain time, they are not available in real time. But nowadays applications and businesses became very demanding. Even there is a delay of even tens of milliseconds, then the value of the business insights will be lost. So in that case, the evolution of real-time data streaming technologies is very eminent, and it's happening nowadays. So Apache Kafka is one of the real-time data streaming technologies, and it is useful in many use cases like monitoring the stock markets, ups and downs, sensors, social media feed, sentiment analytics, and everything. So to achieve all this, we have a distributed technology that was actually developed by LinkedIn, and it was donated to Apache Kafka open source in 2016. So Apache Kafka is basically is a real-time data streaming technology with a higher throughput per second than other messaging systems used for real-time processing. Unlike other existing messaging systems, they store data in RAM, so that takes a lot of memory requirements. But and again, there is a limited capacity in those systems. But Kafka stores the messages in file system, so that makes it highly scalable, and also its throughput and latency is also very high compared to other systems. And this we have identified via literature survey, and it's proven in multiple papers I have mentioned in one of the IEEE transactions, that is giving us this conclusion. So I have just quoted this specific thing. So how Kafka works? So in Kafka is works in a publish subscribe manner. So there will be a producer, there will be a consumer, and producer is it can be any source file, database, anything. And and all this traffic, the traffic of the messages happens via Kafka broker, that is basically the Kafka server, and data or the messages are getting stored in the topic. So topic is basically the object. We can consider it's a bridge. It works as a bridge between the producer and the consumer. And a consumer can subscribe to n number of topics, and topics can be aligned with any of the producer. So and that makes the job easy to consume the data and to the multiple targets. So that's how the Kafka works. So basically, the objectives of this research is to implement the producer and the consumer API for the Apache Kafka. And this study will analyze the key performance indicators for the streaming platform and will provide useful insights from it, so that optimized applications can be designed in Apache Kafka when we know the volume, how much volume we are going to process. And based on that, we can evaluate the performance. Okay, what will be the throughput, what will be the latency, and what will be the infrastructure requirement, how much CPU I need, how much RAM I need, all that things can be derived via this study. And we've also collated the stats for all the test runs that we have done, that we'll discuss in the coming slides. And this also provides the valuable insights around around when we tweak the configuration parameters for the Apache Kafka that are provided for controlling the streaming speed of the streaming and other configurations. So what is the impact of those parameters? We'll talk about it in detail. So here is the review methodology. We did the literature survey, and we've identified that there is there are multiple studies done where the comparisons are done of Apache Kafka with other real-time streaming technologies, but a detailed study to basically evaluate the performance of Apache Kafka is not done by tweaking the multiple parameters that we'll talk about in coming slides. And we identified the gap, and then we developed the evaluation and success criteria, that how evaluation will be done and what will be the success criteria. And then we did the Kafka environment setup and producer consumer execution. We captured the results and proposed the future scope. So this is the basics of
I would like you
this.
to focus on the core areas of the
Sure,
research and conclude soon.
sure. Sure. So I'll briefly touch base on the environment setup and implementation. So in these test runs, we'll use the polling interval and number of partitions. So the polling interval is the interval that for how many how many seconds the producer will be connected to the topic, and the number of partitions is the like how many nodes or a specific message is scattered. As we say that Kafka is distributed. So we'll tweak these parameters, and we have evaluated our results, that what is the impact of tweaking these parameters on the basic on the basic criteria. So we are also evaluating the throughput and the latency, as we know that number of messages can be processed. This is throughput, and what is the how much time it takes to deliver the message, that is latency. We have considered these data volumes from KBs to GBs to see that how streaming is happening. And these are some of the results that we were able to collect. So these are the producer API execution stats. How much time it took for KB to GBs, and what is the percentage CPU that was utilized, what is the peak memory utilization. So we can see that there is very, the memory utilization is static. It's not getting increased, like whatever size of file we use. It there one point, it can be 18 KB, it can be 2.29 GB, but the memory utilization is not high, because that concludes that the Kafka is not storing the messages in memory. It's basically storing the messages on the file system. And that also concludes that if we don't need higher RAM, we just need the basic RAM capacity, and we need the file system based on our requirements, how much data we are going to process. And these are the API stats for the consumers. And you can see that we have tweaked the number of partitions in the polling intervals. And you can see that when the polling interval is reduced from 1000 to 500, then there is a significant improvement in the performance. You can see the run times are drastically improved in the consumer API, because the polling interval is reduced, and number of partitions are also increased. In that case, the data is replicated across the nodes. The system is become the fault tolerance as well. In case there is a failure, then system will be able to recover itself. And when we talk about results, then CPU, so impact on the CPU and memory utilization. So when the streaming starts happening, right, then there is a 20-30% spike in CPU utilization in following events: when data volume is increased, number of partitions increased, and at the start of producer or consumer processing, there is always a spike of 10 to 20%. And after grouping the messages in first stage, the CPU utilization is coming to normal, and it's not very high. And when we talk about results, the changing the volumes for the polling interval drastically improve the performance. And study also concludes that poll interval can help to improve the performance, but we should be very careful for setting up the value for the poll interval, because if we'll reduce this to be very low, then it will stop retrieving the messages. And so a very careful and cautious decision needs to be done for the polling interval. And this is some of the graphs that I try to put in for the impacts of the polling interval. And for the throughput and latency, so we can say that as per the experimental runs, increasing the number of partitions improved the throughput, and increasing the value of partition from 1 to 2 resulted in 10% more throughput. And increasing the number of partitions helps in line with the system capacity and underlying hardware. So basically, when we know the data volume, and then after seeing these stats, we can see, okay, what capacity of CPU will be required, and how much RAM and how much file system capacity will be required for designing an application in Apache Kafka. So as I said that this study helps to determine the correct set of configuration parameters with correct values that should be configured carefully after considering the underlying hardware. As a future scope, we can consider some more parameters. We already considered the polling interval and the number of partitions, but there are buffered records, commit interval. There are other configurations, so that we can see that what is the impact if we tweak these parameters as well. What will be the impact on the streaming speed, and what will be impact on the throughput, latency, and other key evaluation parameters. So these are the references that I have used, and yep, that's it from my end. So any questions or
Thank
comments?
you so much, sir. We're open to questions from the audience or the session chair. Thank you so much for the presentation. Okay. Yes, ma'am, go ahead with your question.
Is there any available tool for processing data in stream?
Ma'am, can you please repeat data in stream?
Yeah, you explained the Spark, sir. Any other tools to process real-time streaming data?
Yeah, we can do it in Apache Spark as well, the same thing. and there are few IBM message queues are also available, but they are very legacy systems. And as I explained that, like, they really need a high capacity of RAM, and that's why they are not much adopted by the industry as well. And Apache Kafka is becoming very famous because it's getting adopted by organizations like Netflix and other other yeah. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions, ma'am?
I think so, no, sir. Thank you so much for the presentation. We move ahead to the next paper ID 352. It will be presented by Deepu Akhtar Shila. The paper is titled as Prototype Development of an Assistive Smart Stick for the Visually Challenged Person.
Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible, ma'am.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, of course.
Do you show my screen?
Not yet, ma'am.
Ma'am, do you show my screen?
You will have to share the screen, and we cannot see your screen yet. There must be an option for share screen in green. Ma'am, is it working?
Yes, ma'am. Now can you show my screen?
Not yet.
What kind of issue here?
Now we can see the screen, ma'am. Not any content, but just the layout of the screen.
Now can you show my screen?
Not completely.
Okay, please give me a minute.
Okay. Ma'am, would request you to test your system, and we'll be moving ahead. And then when you are available, please let us know into the chats. We move ahead to the next paper, ID 477, Human Emotion Detection using OpenCV, and Ms. Malika Srivastava will be presenting it.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is my screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible. Ms. Srivastava would request you to focus only on the core parts of your research, skipping the intro part.
Okay. So, a very good morning to all of you. I'm Malika Srivastava from Galgotias University, is going to present human emotion detection using OpenCV. So, coming to that, what we have done in our research paper, like we have our proposed work that we have taken the FER 2013 data set from the Kaggle, and from there we have done the face detection using Haar cascade, and after that we did the we extracted the emotion used by Haar cascade, and after that we have also done the feature selection using ERA boost. After the feature selection, in feature selection, like by using EDA boost, we can see that we used the tree algorithm to see that how much helpful the data, like how much helpful is this feature selection, to see that where to see our face expression in the facial area part, like eyes, lips and nose. After that we have used the SDM classifier, and SDM classifier is used to finds the optimal boundary between the possible output. So we have used the Haar cascade here because as it's work on the as it is working on the using PCA. So this is the working of our model. this is the emotion detection. So there are the 6 types of emotion we have detected in a paper, like it's surprise, smile, sad, anger, fear, and disgust. Application, this research would be the like this project would be very useful in the area of recommendation system, as by using the emotion detection, we can just recommend the we can use in the recommendation system and also in the customer review system. We can also use this as a monitoring purpose, and as well as in e-learning. Coming to the conclusion part, that we have done, whatever work we have done in our research paper is to, like, we have reduced the complexity and improve the accuracy as compared to the more usual model, that is CNN model is used. Instead of that, we have used the Haar cascade, which have reduced the complexity and also the accuracy. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions from the audience or the session chair?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll be moving ahead to the next paper, 461, an inspection of managed scenario using AODV, DSDV, and DSR routing protocols. The Sandeep Singh will be presenting it.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Vikas Garg, sir. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to submit the paper in International Conference of Innovative Practice in Technology and Management. I am presenting my paper, an inspection of managed scenario using the AODV, DSDV, and DSR routing protocols. My paper ID is 461. I am the PhD scholar at Amity University, Haryana, in Amity School of Engineering and Technology. The overview of this presentation is the abstract introduction of mobile ad hoc networks, methodology and simulation used in simulation, analyzing the results, conclusion, and future scope. In this paper, the mobile ad hoc network protocols was considered for analyzing the performance of destination sequence distance vector routing protocols from the proactive class and ad hoc on-demand distance vector and dynamic source routing protocols from the reactive class. These protocols were simulated using the NS2 simulator package NS2 2.35 on the Linux operating systems. The paper focused on performance parameters on the basis of packet size, speed, packet rate, transmission control protocols, and number of packets in the communications. Introduction of mobile ad hoc networks. As the mobile ad hoc networks consist of wireless mobile nodes forming a temporary network without any infrastructures and create links between the devices without the cables. The medium of transmission for signal transmission is being radio waves. The nodes in mobile ad hoc networks act as host and also as routers to transmit data from one place to another. Each device can move from one place to another place in matter freely without any connection loss. The advantage of wireless network, it provides clutter-free desk due to absence of wires and cables. It boosts the mobility of network devices attached to system because the device do not need linked to one another. The installation process is very easy as we don't need to install wires and other devices. To make wireless network very scalable, any device can be easily added to the existing arrangement. It requires very few or no wires, hence reduce the cost of setup. There are many challenges in wireless ad hoc networks like lack of centralized management, resource availability, scalability, dynamic topologies, limited power supply, bandwidth constraint, no predefined boundaries. The routing protocols are required whenever a packet need to be transmitted to a destination. Just a minute. By a number of nodes, and there are numerous routing protocols have been proposed for such kind of ad hoc networks. These protocols find a route for delivery of packets to the correct destinations. There are mainly three types of routing protocols, like table-driven routing protocols, on-demand routing protocols, and hybrid routing protocols. In this paper, we choose table-driven and on-demand routing protocols, like distance sequence vector is a table-driven. Distance protocol is an active routing protocol that changes the standard Bellman port route number. DSDV protocol maintain the whole data of the routing algorithm, where the help of root data nodes can transfer information from one place to another, and installation process used to clear incorrect entries in database. This table data in this protocol basically an index of the table that contain details of all the nodes to send data from one place to another. As ad hoc on-demand vector is a class of on-demand class routing protocols. It does not maintain route data in the tables. It sends the message to all the nodes for communication and receive a routing response, route error and route request. And once the communication is established, it start transmitting data from one place to another. DSR is also a on-demand routing protocols. This routing protocol was intended primarily for use in multi-jump, multi-mobile networks. It contains two parameters, route detection and route care. In route disclosure, detection tool manages the basic of routes, and the route support network eventually correct route data. No information is sent periodically, and that is why it measures the movement of route and maintain a significant route for the package. We also discuss artificial intelligence in this paper, as artificial intelligence is the major area nowadays. Artificial intelligence is the entity that created by humans and capable of performing tasks intelligently like humans without any instructions, and capable of thinking, acting rationally and humanly. Artificial intelligence can also be used in a way to turn nodes in a network into intelligent, self-learning and smart network. In different scenarios, the impact of routing protocols reflects different behaviors. So there is a need to analyze the network with AI and machine learning techniques. Route performance on the wireless network can be enhanced through Q-learning, ANT learning, optimizing optimum route path algorithms. Artificial intelligence can be used in mainnet to enhance the performance of battery life and other parameters. We can see AI applications in many areas in nowadays, like Google AI powered prediction, spam filters of emails, plagiarism checkers, facial recognition, search recommendation, voice text fraud reduction, etc.
Sir, would request you to focus on the core parts of your research and conclude them.
Okay.
Thank you.
The main scenario used in this simulation was the simulator NS network simulator 2.35. The number of nodes used 20 nodes, and the simulation time was 150 seconds. Simulation range was 2 meters, and the routing protocol DSR, AODV, and DSDV. And the parameters were used packet delivery rate, packet loss, throughput, and jitter. This is the simulation process. Like TCL code is used to configure the simulation nodes and setting initial location for nodes and setting the movement of nodes. Also configuration of nodes for DSR, DODV, DSDV, and AODV protocols. Trace file is used for tracing the result in the trace file, and GAWK tool was used to analyze the results. And Excel, Microsoft Excel was used for creating tables and graphs for analyzing the results and finding the results. This is the simulation process of DSR protocols, and screenshot was taken during the simulation. And this is the AODV protocol simulation. The simulation lasts for 150 seconds, and the connection was initiated between node 0 and 019 during the starting time. And the connection in this, we can see connection between node 1 and 16 between and using the nodes 10, 11, 10, 9, and 8. They are starting communicating with each other. And here we can see the packet dropping during the network communication and packet transmission. These are the results of simulations. We found that in packet size from 150 to 750 bytes, there was a good packet delivery ratio by DSR, AODV, and DSDV protocols, like we can see at 750. After 750, there is a loss of packet lost in the AODV and DSDV protocols, but there is a minor packet loss in DSR also if we increase the packet size. This is the results of opposite to packet delivery ratio, like packets lost during the communication. These are the results of throughput of DSDV, AODV, and DSR protocols. As we can see, the DSR is giving the maximum bandwidth to transfer the packets from one place to another. And if we analyze the result on basis of packets in queue, we find that the DSR given the best result in more than approximately 99 and 100%. We also analyze the TCP types as delivery ratio, like traffic control protocols type in different protocols like DSDV, AODV, and DSR. Vegas, New Reno, and Tahio. DSR given the best outcome in Reno, Vegas, and New Reno, whereas in Tahio type protocol, AODV shows 100% packet delivery. DSR's outcome was better than AODV in all other TCP type protocols. The throughput was found better than others in DSR protocols. Conclusion: the proportionals of DSDV, AODV, and DSR routing protocols have been presented for the different parameters in MANET scenario and recommended that the DSR is the best choice on parameters of packet delivery rate, packet lost, percentage of packet lost, throughput and jitter on different packet size, TCP type, and number of packets in queue by changing packet size. There are still, as we can focus on future scope, there are still many issues that need to be considered for in differentiating the use of mobile networks. The work provides basic research for future protocol selection in mobile and ad hoc networks for analyzing the behavior of two protocols. The further work can also be focused with artificial intelligence for research in mobile ad hoc networks. For the energy consumption, the new principles and new methods can be proposed for taken scenario by having an extension of assumptions. Future works may focus on the representation and development of a smart and intelligent framework that should model using AI and machine learning algorithms and enhance the performance of MANET routing protocols.
Any questions from the audience or the session, sir?
These are the references.
I take it as no questions, sir. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving ahead to the next paper, ID 315, Mr. Sumit Agarwal will be presenting it. And it's titled as InsurTech Fostering Automated Insurance Process Using Deep Learning Approach. Dr. Agarwal, you can share your screen.
Shubhi ma'am, I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, just wait a minute. So is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay.
I would request you to be concise in your presentation. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Sumit Agarwal, Professor Chitkara Business School, and today I will present my paper on InsurTech Fostering Automated Insurance Policy using the approach of deep learning. So my presentation will consist of introduction, objectives, research methodologies, findings, and conclusions. So like as an introduction part, what is InsurTech? Basically, InsurTech is defined as the applications of technologies in our insurance industry. So insurtech startups, their work is basically they have to apply the what we call various technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, big data analytics, etc. in the field of insurance industry. So the insurance startup today, they are only 2%, but you can see a very high growth of 34.4% in this industry. And definitely the scope or the future of this startup industry of insurtech is very high. So basically this paper will discuss more about digital growth and development in the insurance sector and the ways the insurtech is transforming the insurance industries to a greater extent. So now in the next slide, the objectives of my study was to study the focus area of insurtech, to study the development of various insurtech technologies in insurance sector, to study the application of insurtech in various areas of insurance, to study how insurtech is used in a claim processing part, and also to study how insurtech is fostering automation of insurance processes using the technology of deep learning. So these were my objectives. So the methodology used was I collected data from 250 insurance companies globally with the help of Google Form. And when the data was analyzed, the finding was based on the analysis of the data. So basically, first finding was regarding the focus area of insurtech. So what are the various areas in insurance processing where the insurtech is focusing? So you can see on a slide that according to the findings that the major areas are the reducing the acquisition cost, then increasing the customer experiences, decreasing the capital cost, reducing the loss, reducing the acquisition cost, increasing the cross-selling, increasing the upselling are the various areas where insurtech is focused in case of insurance industry. So that was my first finding. My second finding was what are the various technologies which are used by the insurance industries, and the various technologies they are using are telematics, RPA, that is your robotic processing, IoTs, drones, chatbots, blockchains, big data technologies, big data sets, APIs, AIs, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Now, my second part of the paper was how insurtech or the various technologies are used in the claim processes, how they are helping the fastest claim settlements. So there are various technologies which insurance industries are using in the claim settlement, and the artificial intelligence applications help the insurers to improve claim processing. The process starts with AI bots which interact with the client and accept the claims. First notice of loss, thus reducing the workload on the call center executive, and that the work is now given to the artificial bots. Now, with the help of the various machine learning and deep learning application, it results into the more accurate claims assignments, which helps in improving the reducing the turnaround time and also reduces the reassignment expenses for the company. Now, with the application of machine vision and image recognition technologies, self-service claims inspections by the claimants become more easier and also reduces the adjuster visits to the repair workshops. Now, with the help of deep learning and predictive analysis technologies, they help in the early detection of fraud and thus helps in improving the investigation process. Further application of these technologies like analytics, cognitive and predictive modeling helps in also the evaluation and the settlement of claims. So these are the various technologies which are used in the insurtech for the settlements of claim. Now, in the next part of the paper, I discuss about how deep learning works for the insurance. So deep learning learning consists of various layers, input layers, output layers, and the process layers, which are the hidden layers. So data, while passing through the multiple layers from the input layer till the output layer, is getting filtered through multiple layers, result into more and more accurate data for the insurers to work on it. These hidden layers in this network perform the task of translation, thus helping into converting the raw input into a meaningful information for the insurers to use for their use. In the last part, I discussed in my paper the DL algorithm, which can be used in the insurance processes. And one of the simple algorithm applied in the insurance industry consists of deep networks. DRL includes reinforcement learning and deep learning, and it is made up of state autoencoders, convolutional neural networks, deep belief networks, and recurrent neural networks.
I would request you to conclude.
So that's all from my side. So this technologies, basically, like the conclusion was, these technologies, now most of the insurance industries are applying these technologies for increasing the customer experiences and enhancing their sales and revenues. So that's all from my side, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Any questions from the audience or the session, sir? Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We'll move ahead to the next paper titled as Role of Cloud Learning Management System and ICT in Fostering Entrepreneurship Amongst Youth. And will be presented by Mr. Vivek Agarwal and Mr. Aditya Kumar Gupta.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
My screen is visible.
Not yet. Yes, sir, now it's visible.
Good morning to the chair members, the organizers, and the fellow teaching fraternities members. It's myself, Dr. Vivek Agarwal, along with my co-authors, Dr. Sindha Das, Prashant Dev Yadav, and Aditya Kumar Gupta, is going to present a paper titled Role of Cloud Learning Management System and ICT in Fostering the Entrepreneurship Amongst Youth. Basically, despite the recent development, India is still suffering from the challenges of poverty, insecurity, and underdevelopment. And most Indians state a sizable proportion of recent graduates. Our study basically focusing on how the ICT tools can be integrated with the skill development programs to encourage the entrepreneurship education in India. A brief introduction, that is in this paper, the technology is today driving force of success in any enterprises. And this study integrates the UTOT model given by the Venkatesh and Thong with a theory of planned behavior given by the Ezen. What are the research gaps in this theory? During the literature review, we have found that based on the UTOT principle, the driver of technology may be higher efficiency, lower commitment, social impact, friends or colleagues, and facilities to help and others. With understanding of which factors have a big impact on the will of entrepreneurs to embrace IT and the campus. Right. This study basically there's a requirement to investigate what are the conditions which differentiate the young generation from doing blue collar jobs or blue collar jobs. And we have found that these are the technology adoption and behavioral factors, and there's a need for increase in industries to examine the state application of state-of-art ICT tools to overcome the challenges related with the skill development and the broad literacy. Following the conceptual framework, basically, as we already told, this study integrate the UTOT model, UTOT 2 model with that theory of planned behavior. So we have five independent variables: performance, expectancy, habit, ICT tools, self-efficacy, skill development programs, and this study will check the effects of these on the entrepreneurship, internship, and entrepreneurial behavior. Right. An outcome expectancy is the degree to which one believes that a particular outcome will occur. Whereas self-efficacy is the degree of conviction that one can successfully execute the behavior required to produce an outcome. So these are the two very required parameters have to be there to become an entrepreneur. This study will integrate them in this. Now, what are the objectives of study? This study will try to explore to find out what are the driver and driving forces behind the adoption of technology for young entrepreneurs, and and to understand the relationship between the ICT tools, learning management system, and skill development program, and further to check the efficiency of and the effect of performance expectancy, habit, ICT tools, self-efficacy, and skill development programs on young generations, entrepreneurs' intention, and the entrepreneur behavior. This study basically focused on work on six hypotheses. That is all the dependent variables, performance expectancy, habit, ICT tools, self-efficacy, skill development program have a positive impact on the entrepreneurship intention. That is intention to do to start his own venture, and the entrepreneurship intention in turn positively influence the entrepreneurial behavior. That is the action part of it. Data has been collected through a structured questionnaire distributed among the 350 people, mainly comprised of people from rural and semi-urban areas, which are benefited from the internal programs of the government or the companies with the age above 21 years. Following the data screening and presence of outliers, the resultant questionnaires will be 314 and these are analyzed. And these are the data has been analyzed using the SPSS 25.0, AMOS, and the other statistical techniques. And the following are the results. As the model fit shows that the absolute fit indexes, that directly measures how well observed data can be reproduced through developed models, right, with the help of chi-square values, degree of freedom, and goodness of fitness, along with the SRM and RMSA value. And it's found has to be a comparatively fit model, right? And the figure shows that the self-efficacy is the highest contributor to the variance in the entrepreneur's intention. It is explained about 25% of variance. ICT-enabled elements explain about 23% variance with the skill development. And the entrepreneurial behavior responded is well estimated by the entrepreneurial intention, which explains the 36% variance. Overall, the R-square value of the is the 0.4. That is, in all the variables explain about 0.4 variance of the entrepreneurial behavior. Right. These are the hypotheses, which shows that as all the values are above the significant level, and so all the hypotheses has been accepted. A conclusion. This study basically, the objective of this study basically is to find out the first, what are the drivers and driving force behind adoption technology for young entrepreneurs, and secondly, to study the skill development entrepreneurship education program and their effect to raise the entrepreneurial attitude and intention of learners. And does the technology adoption through ICT tools and skill development programs, learning management system regenerate them? And the hypothesized relationship is examined and tested using the structural equation modeling, right? And it is found that performance expectancy and habit to use technology has a positive effect upon the entrepreneur's intention. And there should be need to develop information technology visibility by using the social media, business laboratory incubator, right? And during the entrepreneurial training program, it's the student must be encouraged to use technology. So the technology can be expensive for a young entrepreneur, but they should treat as an investment. And a trainer should create in students habit of using technology to develop their minds on it in their everyday life. Right. And in that study found that Indian rural and semi-urban people understand the importance of entrepreneurship education and its implication for combating poverty and unemployment within their region. The study can be of following implications: that the study provides several insights and direction to enhance the understanding of entrepreneurs incentives, creating jobs, money, and industrial development. And the sustainable learning involves collaboration between university, business schools, government, and corporation. It requires a network of teachers, managers, and professionals. It has been emphasized that the fact that technology may play an important role in improving the prerequisite skills for the development internship. So the study emphasized the results of the study may have important managerial implications for low income entrepreneur. That is technology not only for high-tech venture. They must aware of the possible role in virtually every business action. Now, the study suffers from following limitations. First, it has a limited scope due to small sample size and one country base. And the future study can be carried out to find out how latest innovations such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, 5G, blockchain, quantum computing, etc., can affect the entrepreneurship with a similar study by further students with the various samples. And further research should explore the hindrance in enterprise practices in rural areas and suggest what can be the role can be played by the local government political leadership in removing the hindrances and ensure the sustainable development. And as some technical derivatives may be used in future research, acceptance models such as technology, organizational environment, or innovation diffusion theory. That's more side. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Vivekji.
Yes.
Vivekji, one question from my side. You are using the one word about the entrepreneurship education, right? So as we see about the South Asian countries like the India and others, so what do you think about the entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurship education? What's your overview about the same?
Sir, can you repeat?
Sir, we are talking about the entrepreneurship education. So my question to you, if we are talking about the South Asian countries are concerned, so what do you think? We have to focus on the entrepreneurship education or entrepreneurship education?
Because sir, if don't mind, I may answer this question because
yeah, sure. Because you are the co-author of this paper.
Yes, sir. I am the co-author of the paper.
Yeah, please.
So, in case of South Asian countries, we need to focus on both the aspects. Actually, entrepreneurs as well as the entrepreneurs. Then only we can produce the better managers in future, as we are seeing that even entrepreneurs are expected to take the responsibility to take companies forward. So we can have example like SDFC Puri Saab, that how he has invented the technology in the case, and at the same line to prepare new entrepreneurs, we need to focus on that. That is my take in that case.
Absolutely correct, Prashant. Absolutely correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We will now request Ms. Deepu Akhtar to present her paper if every technical glitch has been taken care of for paper ID 352.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, panel members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. Yes, your screen is visible now.
Yeah. The title of our paper is Prototype Development of an Assistive Smart Stick for the Visually Challenged Persons. Next, table of contents. Objectives, contribution of this paper, literature review, proposed framework, working principles of proposed framework.
I would request you to jump to the core parts of your research. Leave the intro part. Just tell us what you have done in the research and please conclude.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Please go to the objective portion. Milan Vishwas, sir. Can you hear me?
I think the slide is not moving.
Milan Vishwas sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me?
I'm on the objective slide. So,
But sir, slide cannot show here.
Yeah. Maybe you can reshare it and then put it in the slideshow mode.
Ma'am, give me 1 second, please, ma'am.
Yes, we can see your screen again.
Sir, go to the objectives.
is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Objectives. To this paper, provides an object detection system that will help blind people to work. Secondly, it provides a system that can help the blind people knowing about the environment. It also provides a system that will help the family member find the blind person easily. Last of all, it is a cost-efficient device that will change the living standards of the blind people of our country. Next portion, contribution of this paper. Next, we have made a low-cost smart stick to help all of our country's blind peoples, which would most likely improve their feelings of existing in these tough surroundings. We have used a range of sensors to monitor the surrounding of the blind peoples and alert them to potential threats. The GPS GSM module was also utilized to inform the blind person's family of his or her whereabouts. Next, literature review. We have reviewed so many papers and we attached 2 papers here. The first author developed a smart stick for persons who are blind or visually impaired to help them walk more easily. They employed an ultrasonic sensor to locate the item and a GPS GSM module to notify the person's relatives of his or her whereabouts. Then the stick goes missing. They included an RF module to trace it down. Secondly, the second author built an implanted assistive stick. An infrared sensor was used to detect water in the route, and another infrared sensor was used to identify the entered thing. An infrared sensor was also employed to detect items, and an RF module was used to locate the missing stick. Next, that is our proposed framework. Here we propose uses 2 sensors, one for item detection and another for star and hole recognition. The buzzer will ring if the sensor senses an obstruction or a star ahead of them. Then a water sensor will be used to detect water in the blind individual's path. If the sensor detects this type of water, the buzzer will sound again, but in a different tone to distribute water from other impediments. The system will then locate the device and relay its GPS coordinates via a 4-way remote signals. Next, push a button on the remote to identify the stick, and the buzzer will sound for 5 seconds, identifying its location. Next. Okay, next, workflow model. The Arduino code and Arduino IDE software are used to prepare all of the stages in the diagram. Before performing the real simulation, we use Proteus simulation software. Then the system is switched off. The user must click off a button on the remote to turn it back on. If the user pushes button 1, then the device will buzz to grab the user's attention. While pressing button 2 will broadcast the user's location to the preset phone number. Next, All sensors are active as soon as the system is turned on. When the primary ultrasonic sensor is high, the buzzer sounds. The secondary ultrasonic will also buzz if it detects any hole, star, or objects. Finally, the water sensor will beep loudly and the buzzer will also sound if it detects any dampness or water. Next, experimental result.
Ma'am would like you to conclude.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
That is our experimental result ultrasonic sensor. Here we test some barrier like wall, bed, chair, and that is our result. Next, GPS module. We also tested our module as GPS, and which is normally 150 or 200 meters distance from the user. It also accuracy result. Next, water sensor. Water sensor is tested in 3 environments: shallow, moist, and 1 to 10 centimeter water. Next, comparative study. Our proposed methodology is comparatively reliable. The performance is very high and location enability is very good. Next, conclusion and future work. This paper evaluates and examines a smart stick that functions as a personal assistant for blind people by aiding and supporting them with their daily tasks. And next, an RF control module, GPS and GSM connection, a water sensor, and an ultrasonic sensor are all included in this device, which allows blind people to move around freely. He RF control module will locate the stick in the case of emergency, and the GSM and GPS connections will assist the users by sending a notification as a message to notify the family members. This smart stick is very responsible, lightweight, and simple to use. This is very effective approach for those who are vision impaired to get around. In the future, we want to integrate our smart can with the robotics feature so that the task of censoring the surroundings becomes more reliable, so that we can improve the user-friendly experience level for the blind. That's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you all. If you have any question, please asking me.
I take it as no questions, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed Nabil will be presenting paper ID 333 now, and it is titled as Heat Transfer Characteristic of Silicon Oxides with Water.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Wait, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah. We can see your screen, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
Would request you to be very concise in the presentation. We are running behind schedule.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Mohammed Nabil. I'm here to represent about nanofluids. So here is a brief introduction. Nanofluids are nanoparticle suspensions In a base fluid, usually water, nanoparticle is derived from Latin prefix nano. Nanotechnology has recently produced a novel heat transfer coolant known as nanofluids. Compared to traditional coolants, these fluids have better thermal characteristics. These fluid flow and heat transfer properties of various base fluids can be altered by suspended nanoparticles. Nanofluids are liquid suspension of nano-sized particles in a base fluids. Nanoparticles have a substantially bigger relative surface area than regular particles, which not only enhances heat transmission capacities but also boosts the suspension stability. So here is the characterization. Nanofluids were made into two steps by combining metal oxide nanoparticles with distilled water and ethylene glycol. High purity chemicals limited Mumbai flooded the metal oxide nanoparticles. The procedure here is the procedure. Using a digital electronic balance weight 0.3, 0.75, 1.5, and 3, and 7.5 gram of nanoparticles, metal oxide. So separate these weight nanoparticle into 1500 ml. Here is the full process of making nanoparticles. I'll be shifting to the next slide. So it is the flow chart of nanofluid preparation. It includes 3 major steps. Then after that, some detailed steps are there. In synthesis, 1-step method, nanoparticle dispersion, 2-step method, nanoparticle dispersion and synthesis. In characterization, dispersion stability, dynamic light scattering. Morphology is SEM, TEM, XRD, FTR, DLS, TGA, and zeta potentials. Thermophysical properties are thermal conductivity, viscosity, and contact angle. In thermal conductivity, effect of temperature, particle and size, and pH. And in viscosity, effects of molecular interaction, and contact angle is tribological behavior. Here is the list of thermal conductivity of different solids and liquids in metallic and non-metallic solids. So it is a kind of detailed chart. So I'll be moving further to results. Here are the 4 major results which we obtained while experimenting. Stability of metal oxide, water, ethylene glycol hybrid nanofluids. The stability of new class of advanced hybrid nanofluids is determined by the nanoparticle size selection, which includes metal oxide, metals, and non-metals. And the second is thermal conductivity of metal oxide, water, ethylene glycol hybrid nanofluids. The thermal conductivity of ordinary fluids like water, kerosene, PG, ethylene glycol is roughly 0.6 watts per meter Kelvin. Many factors influences the thermal conductivity of nanofluids, including nanoparticle size, medium temperature, base fluid type, and process preparation. And third is dynamic viscosity of TiO2 and SiO2 hybrid nanofluids. When the temperature rises, the dynamic viscosity of hybrid nanofluid decreases. Nonetheless, it rises with the particle volume awareness. And fourth is specific heat of TiO2, SiO2 hybrid nanofluids and FD, fluid density. At 0.15% and 700 degrees Celsius, the bottom density is found. At the temperature rose, the density decreases because enhanced inside the change of collision and growth inside the volume of the nanofluid material, resulting in lower in fluid density. At high thermal conductivity of temperatures, molecules within the fluid characteristics excite and fluid movement advance more freely.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions from the audience or the session chair?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, session chairs. We'll move ahead to the next paper, ID 480, Mr. Siddhant will be presenting it, and it's titled as Assertive Vision Using Deep Learning and LSTM. Mr. Siddhant, can you hear me? Mr. Siddhant, we can see you as a participant here. Can you hear me? Anyone from paper ID 480? Parmeen Rubisht? We'll move to the next ID, paper ID 358. Titled as Designing a Gamification Algorithm for Language Learning Application. Dr. Shivranjan, can we have you on screen?
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Mani.
Ma'am, are you asking for our paper?
For 358, yes.
Okay.
You both will be presenting it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Just give me a second. I just share my PPT.
Yes.
Is my screen is visible to you?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. I'll request you to be concise in your presentation. We're already running behind schedule.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone, for language learning application. Our paper ID is 358, and both the authors are presenting the paper. Introduction. As a language instructor and students, they know how difficult it can be to keep track of the students' progress at various levels and lessons, as well as what should be practiced. The usage of a notebook in which teachers take notes and students correct the problems in a common option. However, it is easily misplaced or misread, and it does not provide a comprehensive picture of developmental performance in the classroom from both the teachers and the students' perspective. So as a result, using electronic system to record the language exercise has significant benefit to it. An excellent gamification strategy ensures the higher level of engagement, helps in creating fun and interest in the students, which supports the student learning. A demonstrated benefit of gamification is that students know they can improve, and it motivates them when they can see that they are constantly improving in the competitive environment created by the gamification algorithm. As a result, the goal of this is to develop an application that addresses this flaw. It will the backend. In this study, we have gathered information and requirements from various languages, experiences, and challenges. The classes are then designed to see how these challenges and criteria may be utilized in and implementing the learning application. The links between classes, goals, and awards are investigated by using an ER diagram, that's entity relationship diagram. The review of literature. We have reviewed more than 30 papers in which we find 23 are more relevant towards it. Here is relevant to the work presented in this paper, as it investigates the effectiveness of gamification in encouraging the learning. There are evidences that gamification has good impact on learning and helps learners to improve their learning, but these effects are dependent on the situation in which gamification features are applied and the learners that utilizes it. The report covers an overview of gamification ideas with a focus on motivation and engagement's contribution in learning application. To further understand how learning tasks and activities can be gamified, Shubhi ma'am, can you please mute yourself? Sorry for this. Actually, some voice is coming. Researchers compare the various motivational offers and to find which one works best for the user responses while using such applications. Legal and ethical issues are addressed by comparing various rewards given to users and influence on behaviors of the users. So on the other hand, expressly, it has been said that gamification does not address any kind of legal and ethical issues on users. Extending the findings of research, a solution is proposed for such applications on various motivating features. The objective of our research is to explore the challenges faced by the students and the instructors in self-learning to find the solution of those challenges. So while we are doing the research, we find out that we have three different challenges, that is interest, motivation, and the engagement of these students. Research methodology, we have done mixed research to study the objective of this research work. We have taken we have done exploratory and experimental research. The data collection tool used to meet the objective is interview. We have interviewed language faculties and the students. Designing the mechanism of gamification, we have designed few mechanisms for doing the gamification of the algorithm, in which we have find out 10 mechanisms which are related to the instructors, system, and the students. So it proceeds like the instructor wants to create learning lessons for the students so that they can understand that what to be practiced. This mechanism relates to the instructor. Instructor wants to view the learning progress of the student so that instructors knows what next lesson they want to teach. This mechanism relates to the instructor. Then student want to see his progress against himself and the others. So this mechanism relates to the student. Instructor want to know the average time a student is spending in learning a lesson. This mechanism relates to the instructor. Once the activities of the lesson 1 are over, the instructor have to save the lesson 1 towards archive gallery and upload session 2 and so on in the above mentioned step. This mechanism relates to instructor.
I would request you to conclude, please.
Oh, sure, ma'am, sure. Just give me a minute. So students wants to look after his progress history so that he can assess how he has performed. This mechanism relates to the student. Instructor wants to set some expected target so that students get inspired to learn and show their passion towards achieving the targets. This mechanism relates to the instructors. Then gamification is introduced as per the progress of the students based on the previous learning from the lessons. This will benefit in encouraging the engagement of the students. It will help in building the interest. It will also increase the motivation level of the students so that learning doesn't stop in between. So this basically is the solution towards the challenges which we have find out as the objective of the paper. So system has to assign initial lessons to the new joining. This mechanism relates to the system. Then we have instructor who has to create new lessons so that it will make an application dynamic in nature. This is instructor's mechanism. Then we have given some criteria for gamification, that is scoreboard. We have baggages, we have leaderboard, through which, as you can see on the screen, we will give the scoring as per the regular practice of the students and completion of the lessons. Baggages are allotted to the students for the completion of the levels, constant learning history, then how many multiple levels they have completed and how much duration they have spent while completing all the activities. And the baggages and the score point which the student is learning, accordingly the name will appear on the leaders board, as you can see on the picture. This is the algorithm we have made for the gamification. And this is a pseudo code we have made to test the algorithm. This is the conclusion. So the background research supports gamification effectiveness as a learning tool. So this paper focuses on how it might be applied to language acquisition. However, it was employed with discretion in terms of the societal considerations. According to the preliminary study, some students have strong opinion about utilizing the ID cards in college classes. As a result, being able to turn down items or to select from various or wide options as part of the system would be advantageous. Baggages, for example, can be turned off as a feature and only affected depending on the situation. Further research will be look into these issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions from the audience or the session chair? Thank you so much for the presentation, Dr. Tyagi.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll move ahead to the next presentation for title Apache Spark-based analysis on word count applications in big data, and will be presented by Ms. Subha.
Yeah, ma'am.
Dr. Tyagi needs to unshare the screen, please.
Just a minute, ma'am. I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah. Dr. Mani, please. Yeah, okay. Thank you. We can see your screen, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Please be concise in your presentation.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shubha from SRM University. I'm doing the research work on Apache Spark-based analysis on word count applications in big data. This is agenda of my presentation. Let's see the motivation of research work. With a spike in use of internet, mobile phones, social media, and IoT devices, the volume of generated data is growing exponentially. As per the recent survey, the total amount of data consumed globally was forecasted to 64.2 zettabyte in 2020, 79 zettabyte in 2021, and it will go over 180 zettabyte in 2025. So if the current trends continue, the volume will soon exceed the exabyte scale. So the motivation of the research work is to study the basic concept of big data and how big data is processed in a real-time applications. Let's see the introductions. Big data is a collection of a data that is huge in volume and variety that are growing exponential with time. So the traditional database system cannot manage this kind of a data. Basically, big data is in raw form, but when analyzed, we can yield a valuable results from this. These are the characteristics that define big data, that are volume, velocity, variety, value, and veracity. Big data processing is a set of techniques to access the large scale data to extract useful information. This information is mainly used for decision-making support. The framework like Spark, Kafka, and Flink that are mainly used for process the big data and with low computational time. Here we can classify big data processing as a two type: batch processing and stream processing. As I mentioned earlier, Hive and Hadoop, it support majorly for a batch processing system. This picture explains stream processing in the big data environment. Here, streaming data from a source ordered with the time is continuously processed, and the processed result is fed into the dashboard before storing data on a storage devices. Here I have listed some of the big data applications. First one is the data storage. Rapid growth of big data applications, we need a novel data storage architecture that supports strong consistency. Second was the healthcare. In a healthcare, the big data is used to predict the disease, and it also predict the drugs level to the patients. And third one is energy management. Smart meters plays an important role in a smart city. Here the big data is used to predict the energy consumption level in order to save energy. In a cloud storage, we can store a big data across the multiple data center instead of storing a single data center. And fifth one, I'm taking as a recommendation system. As you know, it recommends the product to the user based on the activities and your interest. And sixth one is the emergency department. Ambulance service was introduced by the emergency department. Here, the use of a big data, the service first understand the current situation of the patient, and it also find the nearest healthcare to the patient. And last application was weather forecasting. Here, based on available big data, it predicts the future weather conditions like rainfall, minimum temperature, maximum temperatures in order to save a human life from the natural disaster. This is my workflow. To test the performance of the Spark, I'm taking the word file as an input, and I tested the word count with low computation time. Here I have installed a Spark version 3 with 2 core. When I'm increasing the number of a core, as a result of a processing time, the execution time will be reduced. Continue to the previous one, you can see if I run the application with a single core, at any point of a time, only one task is executed, which is in a sequence manner. At the same time, in a parallel processing, when running the application in a 2-core, the parallel processing is achieved and the processing time will be reduced half with the compared to the single core. This is my conclusion. In my research work, I highlighted the basic concept of big data, like types, what are the characteristics, and big data processing, how it is processed in the Spark framework. And finally, the performance of the big data processing analyzed using the Spark framework, which demonstrate low computation time with the effect of in-memory computation and parallel processing. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions from the audience or the session chair? Thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would again request Mr. Siddhant Singh Bhadoria if he can present paper ID 480.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Should I share my screen?
Yes, please.
My screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so my topic is assertive vision using deep learning, and my partner is Dharmendra. First of all, I would like to greet you all. Myself, Siddhant Singh Bhadoria. Our paper is based on assertive vision using deep learning. The main purpose of our this project is to provide captioning to the images using CNN and LSTM. In this project, we have used CNN and LSTM to develop a model which input images as an input and provide a caption to that images. We have used CNN, which CNN stands for convolutional neural network. It take input and extract the features of the images, salient features, and then provide that input features to the LSTM model, and that LSTM model provide the captioning to that images. LSTM stands for long short-term memory. LSTM is a kind of a RNN, recurrent neural network. In this, the input is used as an output and recurrently for many times, so that the output is again an input. So we uses less memory. So in this, we have this model can be used for providing vision to the blindless peoples, visionless peoples, by providing captioning to the images that we provide. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll move ahead to the next paper. ID 469. Do we have anyone from 469? R. Senthil Kumar or Saeed Mustafa, A. Balaji, Gurpreet Singh, Ashok Kumar, and Mani Kanda Prabhu. Anyone from ID 469? Anyone from paper ID 481? Dr. R. Ilavarasu or Dr. Ashok Kumar, as I can see in the participant, for ID 481. Okay, can we have Ms. Dhruvi Suthar for paper ID 334? Ms. Dhruvi, can you hear me? And Mr. Pawan Patel? Okay, do we have Ms. Tanvi Verma for paper ID 310?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Tanvi Verma will now present the paper titled as Geyser Time Controller for Effective Electricity and Water Management.
Sure, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you, ma'am. Today, me and my co-author, Dr. Rashmi Agarwal, are going to present our paper. Let me just share my screen.
We can see your screen, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Just give me a minute. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. I request you to be concise in your presentation.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. So the paper titled Geyser Time Controller for Effective Electricity and Water Management. Basically, this paper has been proposed in order to see, or you can say solve a particular problem which in daily use or in daily life we generally face. That is maintaining high water temperatures, which normally geysers do, but they do not get cut off at a sufficient point of time. And whenever geysers are used, the minimum cutoff for the power is 3 to 4 liters, or a particular time period till the time we don't switch them off. So the complete hot water is not used, resulting in wastage of both electricity as well as water. So therefore, it is essential to switch off the geyser once the desired temperature and quantity is reached. So continuing this, some controllers use a timer to turn off the power to the water heater system, and other existing methodologies or models in the literature have some time clocks or some switches or some controllers which calculate the temperature of hot water supply. And what happens is that whenever the geyser is not cut off, the actual usage is always less than whatever has been supplied by the geyser. So taking these points into consideration, these gaps, it necessitated us or the literature by providing a means that can deactivate the geyser automatically on achieving the desired temperature for the required quantity of water. So the present invention is different from the other cited references, as it contains a multiple stages or multiple level controller, which has certain stages through which we have different time intervals. I'll just skip to that. There are various 4 levels, and there are time intervals given, and according to these timings, our geyser or the switch will beep, or we can say will indicate that it's been 10 minutes the geyser is on, and then 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and so on. This has been our working, and wherein it is just as small as the regulator of a fan. The objective of the paper is to design a low-cost compact device that automatically controls water temperature, and moreover to enhance the operating life of the geyser. And we have designed this particular model in order to regulate water as well as electricity according to certain time intervals. So functioning, if it is not urgent, do I need to skip, or can I explain this? Ma'am, please, can you just tell me? Yes? Okay, I'll brief it up also. As I already told that the device has a regulator like a fan regulator. It is a similar device. It has 2 indicators. One is an LED which keeps on blinking, and another will soon tell us that whenever the 4 stages are complete, it will switch off automatically. Coming to the conclusion of the paper, the contribution of this study is that the device which has been constructed is minimalistic in their size, and as the products which are already available in the market, this proposed design is more effective in terms of operating cost, low operating cost, size, controllability of water. Moreover, it contains multiple stages which existing literature or existing models are not having, or some of the models are having, but not exactly what we have proposed. So basically, this present device provides a time selection unit that comprises level selection, switch at corresponding time intervals, and whenever, according to our usage, we need that. According to this, for example, after 20 minutes, we want the geyser to be switched off. It can be done with the help of this device. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions from the audience or the session here? Dr. Garg, do you have any questions?
Yes. Tanvi Verma, very nice presentation. Firstly,
Thank you, sir.
you are the research scholar.
I'm a faculty at Chitkara University, sir.
You are faculty at Chitkara University, right? Just give me only one insight. Once we are talking about your OR paper is concerned, what kind of statistical tools you are using for this?
So basically, we have just done the systematic literature review on this, and the circuit which has been designed is doesn't specifically relates to a statistical tool. Basically, it is almost a review of literature, and
Yeah.
it's almost a new idea. It is an electronically designed model, sir.
That's why I'm saying
So
this
first
is
it
not the
has been
research
tested
paper.
at our home only,
Yes.
and then we brought.
We can understand
Yes,
that.
please.
It means this is not the research paper. This is the review paper actually.
It is a review paper, but sir, the model which has been presented has been tested practically, and after that usage and even referring to the literature, it has been a combination.
Right. My suggestion to you, kindly go for the patent also. It can be. It's my suggestion only. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for presenting the research paper. Next, we will have the paper ID 95, which will be presented by Mr. Kaushik Melagam, and it's titled as Cancer Prediction Using Machine Learning.
Got lost.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Verma, we are done with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Melagam, please share your slides.
Give a minute, ma'am. Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Maligam Kaushik Shai from Chandigarh University. Me and my team members made the project Cancer Prediction website using machine learning techniques. Now I'm going to start with introduction. Cancer is not a single disease, but rather than many related diseases that all involved under uncontrolled cellular growth and reproduction. This project is completely about cancer prediction. In this project, we are making cancer prediction using machine learning techniques. In this, we are using a website to predict three different types of cancer. They are breast cancer, lung cancer, and prostate cancer. We are going to use various models to predict various types of cancer, and the model which give us best accuracy will be implemented. Breast cancer is a type of cancer that starts in the breast. Cancer starts when cells begin to grow out of control. Breast cancer cells usually from a tumor that can often be seen on an X-ray or felt as a lump. Breast cancer occurs almost entirely in women. To predict this, we have tested various models, and the most accurate result we were given by Gaussian NB, and after that standardize of the data, most accurate result were given by SVM model. So in this we are using SVM model and also using various parameters to predict it. In this, after prediction of data, if it gives the class value true, then it indicates benign, and if it is give the value 4, it indicates malignant. Lung cancer is a type of cancer which starts from lungs. As we usually know that smoking cigars causes this lung cancer.
Not only smoking cigars, but the people who does not smoke can also get this cancer. But the people who smoke a lot have the high chances of getting this cancer. In this cancer, we are using random forest model as it got the highest accuracy while testing. In this, we are considering various parameters. Prostate cancer is a kind of cancer that occurs inside prostate gland in man. This cancer most effectively takes place in man. Usually this cancer grows slowly, after which assaults the prostate gland. In this cancer also we are going to use random forest as it got the perfect accuracy. The parameters we are going to keep in mind on this prostate, most cancers are radius, texture, perimeter, area, smoothness, compactness, symmetry, fractal dimension, etc. Now, problem formulation is, we need this project because it can help doctors find and treat several types of cancers early before they cause symptoms. Early detection is important because when abnormal tissue or cancer is found early, it may be easier to treat. By the time symptoms appear, cancer may have begun to spread and be harder to treat. This cancer prediction website will not only help to detect the cancer in the early age, but also will help to take the treatment early stage of cancer. Now objectives are, actually the objective of this cancer prediction system is it will help people to detect the cancer in the early stage, but also it will help people to detect it with the free of cost, that too online without going to the hospital. Not only that, but also it can predict 3 cancer in a single website. Now this is the flowchart. Now algorithm comes. The web page loads and user is offered the option of selecting one of 3 cancer types. Then the user must select the cancer prediction system that he or she wishes to utilize. Then the user must next complete the form based on their symptoms. Then last, the data is sent to the route that deals with machine learning models, and the result is returned on the following route. Now the result we got. Firstly, we have to choose one of the following given type cancers about which we want to know prediction. Now we have to enter cell attributes. Now it shows the prediction. Then we have to enter data about lung cancer detection. Then it shows the lung cancer prediction. Now we have to enter data about prostate cancer detection. Now it shows the result of prostate cancer result. Now I want to conclude that the goal of this work was to create a classifier that could predict the most serious malignancy, breast cancer. We developed a collaborative strategy for diagnosing this disease and providing information on the patient condition. The breast cancer model as a classification job as is the development of support vector machine SVM approach to classify breast cancer as benign or malignant. Random forest classifier was employed in the lung cancer and prostate prediction system. The purpose of this study was to develop a classifier that could predict the likelihood of a person developing lung or prostate cancer based on set of common factors. The future scope of this website, in the future we will able to improve our project. The project scope can be hosted to expand the scope. It is possibly to predict cancer using image or X-ray data. There is no database to keep track of the values entered by the user. A user database can be kept up to date so that they can learn and improve. Now these are the references. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Any questions from the audience or the session chair? Thank you so much for the presentation. I'll request someone from paper ID 469 to give the presentation. 469. Anyone from paper ID 469, 481, and 334. So with this, we come to the end of our session. Thank you for joining us. IT may please close the session.